Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce Lombardo, and with me today is my friend Janet from another planet. And below me in the panel is our friend Joshua, also known as Six Nation 31 Kings. Hello, you two. How are you guys today?
Good.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Great movie.
Easy.
Kind of was weird trying to get it started off, but
Serious and kooky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
It didn't really lose a whole lot. Like,
it holds up, 30 plus years later. It's
Mhm.
great.
for it,
Except for the MC Hammer stuff. I understand that.
Right.
That was
I
early 90s.
can forgive the movie. Nobody could predict in the future that MC Hammer would be lambasted for sounding too canned.
Yeah, but most people don't really pay attention that much to the, to the.
And
Yeah.
not that I hate MC Hammer, I liked part of his work. I just hate like the stuff that got popular of his after like 1990, which this movie falls in that category.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers to you, sir.
He's a gangster. And I remember when he built his studio, it was my dad used to work. There was a valley, and then off on the far end was his studio. And every once in a while, I'd go visit my dad, and you could kind of thing making his albums. Knocking him, just it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Parachute pants. Janet, did
Yes.
you ever have parachute pants?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
You ever have cargo pants?
I
Today?
do now, but I didn't when I was younger. I just pretty much wore blue jeans. That was it, and blue jean cutoffs and stuff like that.
Well,
I did wear a lot of camo and stuff when I was younger too, because a lot of my friends did.
Did you wear Doc
Same.
Martens?
Mm-mm. No. Oh, you want to hear something though? When we were little, every summer when we went to my grandparents, my grandpa would take us to the Western wear place, and we would get jeans and cowboy boots.
Okay.
To wear, if our other ones were worn out. And the jeans, when we bought them, you could almost stand them up against the wall. That's how they weren't
Stiff.
Levi's. I guess they were maybe Levi's. I don't remember, but they were like already hard as a rock. So we had to even overalls were like that. So we'd have to wash them so that we could basically wear them and not feel like we're packed in. You know what I mean? Because they were like really stiff. I've never seen anything like that since. I guess I've gotten better at making it softer. Oh, don't make me the big person on here. I don't like.
Hold on. We have a question about this.
Mm-hmm.
Warrior's in the chat, and he's like, "What's up with Janet sitting there looking all stoic and pretty and stuff?" Well, if you would like to know, she's kind of dressed for the part of Morticia Addams.
Can we just watch the movie?
Yeah, we just watched the film. So
I told him I wasn't cutting the top of my rose off. I'm going to keep it like it is when Gomez gives it to her and tells her how pretty she is.
The rose costs like $7 now today. But
yeah, but this is one of the most realistic kinds. It's got thorns and everything. It came out of one of my deals, so I'm keeping it. Sorry.
If you guys missed the 90s, Buster Brown shoes.
Now, are those the ones you put the penny in?
I don't know if loafers? Six Nations, are those the penny loafers?
I don't know if I missed the 90s that much. I appreciate the 90s. But do I miss it? I don't know. I don't think I want to relive it.
The penny loafers I remember were not from the 90s. Were not Buster Browns.
Well, I bought most of my stuff from like thrift stores. Remember, we had 5 kids, so we had hand-me-downs, and my mother used to make our sweaters. She would crochet sweaters or knit sweaters for us and put zippers in them. I have one I found. It's got so many holes in it, though, and it's got cows and stuff on it. It's beautiful. My mother made for my dad, and I'm going to try to bring it back with me when I go back and see if I can take it somewhere and get it.
Yeah, in the 90s, I went through my metal phase, my army surplus. I had it was basically a light tunic, the dress blouse for the German army, but it felt like it was a kit for me. So like, I'd wear that or Pantera or whatever, and then blue jeans, Converse, or Vans.
Yeah, I love Vans. I had a couple pairs of Vans, and they were the checkered ones, all different colors, so they'd go with all different outfits. I love them. It's real hard to find anything like that I like anymore. That's why I like the secondhand stores, because you can find some pretty good stuff. But
the clothes that my dad used to wear in high school. There was a nice cowhide jacket that he wore. In fact, him and my stepdad were like best friends, so they would share clothes, and then later I ended up wearing it and then it up, and so that 70s vintage wear disappeared.
He's wearing a tunic.
Got a lot of people with love for fashion from before. I just go with t-shirt and shorts typically. I live in a hot area. It's 68 degrees right now. Yeah,
and that makes perfect sense.
It is. I don't know what the temperature says. It's 50 degrees and rainy, drizzly, like misty and stuff.
It's a balmy. It's sunny.
But so we get to the movie. I couldn't find anything that said how much it cost to make the movie, but I did find one thing. It said to make the front of their house when they had the camera.
$100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. You could not build anything like that.
I believe the budget was around $30 million.
Yeah, it was a box office success because they almost made two.
Yeah.
So that's like almost 6 times the amount.
And the fact they got Christopher.
Now, I don't know how it works in Hollywood, but that sounds good.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Six Nations.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Just going to say, like, I don't know how it works in Hollywood, budget is concerned, but if it makes 6 times its amount, I would consider that a success.
Oh, yeah, I would too. What year was it again? 91?
91.
So that was a lot of money in 91, I think. But the part where when I was talking to you guys backstage about Christina Ricci talking to the producer and the director, telling them that she wanted Uncle Fester to not be a crook, that she wanted him to be the real Uncle Fester that had lost his memories, and that she really wanted him to change the story, because the script before they changed it, he really was just a scammer. So I think it was adorable. I loved I just love Christopher Lloyd. I've gotten to meet him. He's a wonderful, wonderful, kind person to total strangers, from what I could tell. And he's a good actor. He always makes me laugh. I don't care what part I've seen him in. He's just good. He does a good job. He just likes acting, you can tell. And in this one, his quirky facial expressions, and he had to wear something, I'm sure, to make him look like his head was like crammed down into his shoulders all the time. The way he looked. So I'm sure that must have been very cumbersome. But he was really adorable, the way his character came across with the children, like when he was spending all that extra time knowing his mother was going to be mad at him to make that little fake arm stuff so that they could have blood shooting out for them to be in the little play. And it was just really sweet to see that in the movie, because a lot of kids today, because their parents are divorced, have their uncles and their aunts that spend a lot of time with them and do special things with them. So I really like that. And to me, that's still, even though it's been this long, that concept of a young person getting to watch it, if they're watching it with their uncle or whatever could get pulled into that whole part of it, because it was just nice to see that in a movie, an uncle going out of his way to please his niece and nephew. I love that part of the movie. I thought that relationship with little Wednesday was I just loved it. I thought it was so sweet and adorable. I thought they were cute as could be. And then when the dad finds her asleep on the in the mausoleum, one of the family vaults, on top of the sarcophagus, asleep, and he just picks her up in his arms. I just loved it. I just thought, even though this family was supposedly morbid, serial killers related to witches and all these freaks, that they were a loving family, and it came across, and I just thought it was really, I just really liked it. I can see why it was such a big hit with families and stuff in 1990. I mean, it pulled at the heartstrings too. And the whole thing when they become homeless and they don't have jobs and have no money now, because all their money's in their vault, right? So now they all have to try to get jobs. Even the hand, he went out and got a job working for FedEx, whatever. I just thought some of the stuff was quirky and stupid, but that's what you'd expect for this type of, for a movie.
Yeah,
So
it did a good job.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. Really good. I just love the characters.
It paid homage to the TV series,
Mm-hmm.
which most of us are familiar with, and it also echoed what was being pantomimed in the single panel comics and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just come out and say I never watched the TV show. I watched the Scooby-Doo when Scooby-Doo and the gang hung out with the Addams family.
Yeah.
I watched that, and then in '91, because Mom and Dad didn't want me to go see it because they didn't like the portrayal of Wednesday. They didn't like how she had been changed. Mom wasn't a real big fan of the Addams family anyway. We watched the Munsters, and Mom
That was
was not into it. Well, she was not into the Addams family. But at the local replay, the coin-op arcade we had, they had a copy of, or they had a Addams Family pinball, which is the still greatest selling pinball machine of all time, with like 29,000 pinball machines sold upon its initial release. Now they're doing recastings of it, and they're selling it, kind of like a buy it and we assemble it for you shit for like, it was at the time like $6,000. Now it's like closer to $20,000 to $30,000 for a pinball machine. You'll pay the price of a Civic for this pinball.
Yeah.
And it's a great pinball machine. It's really good.
It's made by Bally.
That pinball machine.
So can't go wrong.
Yeah, Bally was on their A game. They had fucking Steve Ritchie at the time. I forget the guy that designed it. It might have been Ritchie or one of the other big ones. But they did so well with that pinball machine. And I know that pinball machine inside and out because I spent probably close to $1,000 in quarters back whenever replay was. Yeah. I'm not joking. I was an arcade.
No, I know. I believe you.
And then whenever Pinball Arcade 10 years ago was the big app on your mobile device, every month they would put out a new one. And whenever they scheduled out for Addams Family and the Twilight Zone, those were the two machines I made sure that I pre-purchased so I could have those guaranteed because they were part of a Kickstarter. Really fucking expensive Kickstarter at that. But then they lost the fucking license in 2018 because FX Pinball came along with a bigger pile of money for Bailey, and FX Pinball's a piece of shit. They fucking want microtransactions for everything. Goes suck a dick, So if you still have those on your Samsung or iOS, keep them. You can still play it. But I've played probably close to 300 hours alone on Addams Family. So as I'm watching this movie for the first time from start to finish, I'm hearing all of the cut speech that they did clips in the pinball game. I'm just laughing the whole time. It was great. And I really liked the movie. I thought the movie was fucking great. That the casting is good. They had 3 directors of photography on this movie. And
really?
The first two were like, we're done. One of them got got a better offer for another film. Another one had like a medical emergency. Barry Sonnenfeld not feeling so well. He had medical emergencies the whole time. They had to cut filming at a certain point because he had like really bad stomach issues, and his wife had to go and she had to get an operation of some sort back in 1990. So they were having trouble with this film, and this is also about the same time that Raul Julia is getting told the news that, hey, we have something weird on your scans, and this is not. I don't know if they told him during this time or if it was shortly after where they found out Raul Julia had stomach cancer. But this was one of his favorite roles because he would be accosted in walking around somewhere, and he'd be like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god,
I read that.
yeah!" And so he loved this. He didn't get a chance to walk around much after he filmed Street Fighter in '94. That was the year he died in October. But he did that movie because he loved his kid. One of these days, we'll review that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrible movie. His role in it was freaking. I can't blame him for wanting, because like Street Fighter was the phenomenon.
Yeah.
In the early '90s, like everybody was playing it, and his kids loved it, and so he ended up playing.
He did great with Bison.
Freaking M. Bison, and that was awesome. My son, we got to see a showing with some of the employees and whatnot, and then we find out that like he died of cancer shortly after that, and it was like, because Raul Julia was an awesome actor, stage, television, movies, like it was great.
Did I file a W-9 for those quarters? I probably should have. Bally Midway might as well from 2012 to 2018. They received from me quite a bit of time, not a lot of money. I got like for every month I gave them like $7 or $8 because of the real pinball app that I had, or Pinball Arcade was the name of it. Now that's a dead app. You can still go on there, buy your Stern machines or Gottlieb's. And I stay away from Gottlieb. Gottlieb is cancer for pinball, in my opinion. But Stern puts out good quality pinball. But nowadays, there's some new pinball makers on the block, and I'm kind of happy because now I'm having time to where I can actually go and flick the silver ball down one of the local arcades and actually get good at Godzilla. I want that 6-ball, that 5-ball multi-ball. Anyway, yeah, I go for wizard mode.
Multi-ball.
Yeah, multi-ball. Oh my god. This movie, Janet, when you saw this, was this in the theaters when you first saw this movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many times did you see it in theaters? Just once, or did you go see it a couple times?
A couple times because I saw it with different people. Because I love movies. I love going to sit in the movie theater and eat popcorn and watch a movie with with a big screen and everything. I like that. I enjoy that more than sitting and watching a movie at home, especially back then because the TVs weren't near as big, as they are now. You can get a huge TV now that takes up almost the whole wall. But I went with friends and
was a good size.
React differently.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to let you guys know, when you're looking for a date, find somebody who enjoys just the fun hobby of going to theaters and going to movies, like Janet. Just
bowling.
if you don't mind throwing a ball down at some inoffensive pins, somebody like that, you'll have happiness. You'll have real happiness. I'm telling you. Like, not fake happiness. You won't be like Al Bundy grating your teeth when you go home. You'll be happy to go home. Happy to get older with that person. That's what you want. That's what you want, kids. All right. I think this movie's almost like, just for the hour and 40 minutes that we spent watching it from start to finish, I think this movie could not have been any better, because I got a chance to see some really good gags. The casting choices were great. The set design and just all of the little things that just add in to the Addams family strangeness. How can you not love this film? I don't understand why people were giving it shit 5 and 10 years later.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that I thought they did a fabulous job
Uncultured swine.
on all aspects of it. I mean, I found a few things with editing, a couple little things, and a couple of things that I thought could have been done by filming. But now that you told me about them having 3 different directors, I can kind of understand it. I mean,
not directors.
I mean,
photography.
filmers. Yeah, director of photography.
And let's also just make this plainly aware. This is Barry Sonnenfeld's first directorial movie. He did a lot of films. He worked on a lot of movies before he got that chair. But this is his first time where the studio gave him the trust to do this right. And I feel that this movie proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that he's capable of taking millions and millions of dollars and turning it into gold. Because he turned 30 million into 195 million.
Yeah.
Just off the fucking box office, not including
but you got to remember when you're making a movie, you have a casting director. Okay, a casting director goes through different people's resumes, and usually what they do is they take the character and they put a sheet down with what the character is and who the character is supposed to be, and then they have drawings of what the character is supposed to look like, by an artist, and then they have the people that they want to, like maybe 3 people, 2 people, 6 people that apply for the different positions in the movie. And what I've always seen is they have a warehouse and they have it laid on the ground, like 6 folders with the pictures next to it. And then it has like a little fold'em card that you have for reservations, at a restaurant on the floor. And the director walks along and says 1, 6, 3, like that as he walks by, and his assistant checks it off on a list, and then they go back and bring those people in to be interviewed again. Because usually the second director or one of the assistants or a few of them will be the ones that review the videos of the people, the submissions, and then they break it down. Then they have live interviews after that with the actual director. So, and sometimes I've had it happen to me where I've showed up for a part as a drunk or something like that, and the director would come up and say, I want you to be the waitress, or I want you to be this. And I'm like, okay, because then they'll swap it around. And a lot of people get pissed off about that because they'll get a part, and then the director sees the other person in person and then wants to swap them around for whatever the set is. And you can throw a fit, but if you get caught, the director, you're gone, because the director's always right. It doesn't matter if he's full of shit or not. They're the boss. So it really boils down to that. So that if you have a good casting director and a good person to do art, the artwork, drawings, for backgrounds and things like that, and then you have the good props and makeup people, hair and makeup, all that, like that TV series, American Horror Story. It won tons of awards because of costumes and set design, all that, because it had really good team, and that makes a big difference. But the editing, I saw some stuff and I was like, is this editing or is this actual filming? And when you said there was more than one, director, it is a director, but they're called, they're the ones that take care of the picture, the director of pictures. But it said the part of it I wrote down was, let's see, when Morticia was clearing the cupboard, for charity sale, you see her hands are raised and there's a close up on her hands in the cabinet, but then they're down again. Okay. And then there was another one that when Wednesday was pulling down the levers, okay, for the electrician, or electrocuting your brother, that part I was telling you about, when Morticia goes, okay, he's going to let her go ahead and let her daughter electrocute him. I thought that was hilarious because that would never happen in real life, but it was still funny. But in the next shot, the other 2 levers are pulled as well. See, it's little things like that. To me, that could be filming, because you had 2 different directors of photography filming the exact same scene. See, finishing off with the other one, things like that. So, but also when I saw some things with the editing, was was different things about the daylight coming in the room and where it was, like, I don't know, different things. If you have something like a cup in this hand and then all of a sudden the cup's in the other, the editing could have flipped the camera, not because they did move it to a different hand, but because of the way they edited it and flipped the film. It looks like, you see what I mean? It's backward. Like we can do with our camera right here on that. Same thing like that. So little things like that was all I could find wrong. I didn't find anything wrong with the way the actors performed, their lines or anything like that. I felt like there was good chemistry between all the actors, even Mama, when Matricia was sitting there with her mother trying to help her husband, and the Mama's going through her cookbook about, different recipes to whip up something, a spell to help him. It was just really adorable. I forgot how good and family oriented the movie really was, even though they were very romantic, and to me, I was like, oh, she's so lucky to have a guy that just is so romantic with her. But it wasn't so bad that your kid couldn't watch it. You know what I mean? So I just love it. I loved it. I laughed. I cried a little bit when I felt really sad for them when they got kicked out of their house. But I cried a little bit too, because I was so happy for the two kids to have an uncle that wanted to spend time with them, was like a big kid, and helping them with their part for their play and things like that. I just really loved it. I forgot how much I loved this movie because I hadn't seen it in a very long time. But it was wonderful.
Yeah, I've seen Family Values before, and I liked that one a lot. I thought it was had the
It's got a
appropriate
good
level.
ensemble cast.
That had the appropriate level of snark. Sakura Mita, hello. I think that movie has the right level of snark. I will have to watch that at a later point in time. But this movie here, I've not seen it yet. This was the first time, and it really held my attention fairly well. I was rather pleasantly surprised, and call me crazy, but I'd not really felt the need to pop it in the DVD player or buy the DVD. Back in 92, 93, McDonald's had a affordable movie VHS purchase thing for like a month where you could get Ghost, Wayne's World, this movie, and something else for like $5.99 as long as you bought a big sandwich like a Big Mac or the Arch Deluxe or something, you could get this VHS. And I think
I don't remember that.
I think we had one because we bought the Wayne's World because I destroyed the tape watching it so many times, and then we bought the Addams Family, but I just never watched all of it. It just never appealed to me at the time. I know I'm crazy, but whatever. I should have loved this movie. I should have just watched it back then and just been amazed. But this movie had so many fun things, and just the little Adamisms that are in this movie. Gomez loving to just wreck the trains. God, I mean, as a hobbyist, I'm watching that going, don't do that. That's like a $500 stock.
I thought
he's reading the newspaper and then he looks up and Gomez looking at him like that's classic Charles Addams.
With the scene with the kids and the mom,
TV show,
sitting in the bedroom listening to the trains going, and basically the whole house is shaking because he's taking it out on the trains basically because he's so upset about thinking his brother is a fake, that he's not real, he's a fraud. I loved it because I have many times with my sisters sat in the back room with our blanket, all of us in one bed with our blankets pulled up, worried that we were going to get in trouble because our parents were fighting, in the kitchen or whatever, and not knowing what was going to happen and being afraid. I don't know why. I guess because they're yelling at each other or whatever it was. And that's what was so cute about that. They made that whole part of a childhood where you hear your parents fighting, or they're upset, or your dad's mad and he's throwing stuff around the house, or whatever's going on. He's stomping around trying to find something he can't find, whatever is, and you're hiding in your room because you don't know what's going to happen at that whatever age, 10 to 12 or whatever, maybe a little younger. But the whole way they made it comical, because dad is about to wreck his trains, because he's trying to deal with his frustrations. And it wasn't him drinking himself to oblivion, and it wasn't him doing drugs or anything like that. He was playing with trains, which I loved. I loved the way they made that into they made it softer for a kid to understand, because a kid knew. Every kid, I don't think there's a single kid that's grown up that didn't have a time when they were afraid, not knowing what was going on, because their parents were either fighting, or their grandparents were fighting, or their aunt and uncles were fighting somebody, and they were like, didn't know what to do. They were just hiding in their room and just listening, not knowing how to react to it. And they made it lighthearted. I don't know how to put it any different than that, but I thought that was a really good scene. And the whole house was shaking, and they really made it very dramatic, but fun at the same time.
Book Breaker, hello, sir.
Look at
Hey, hi.
Charles Addams, his real caring guy. He was friends with Alfred Hitchcock, a whole bunch of well-known, affluential directors and movie stars and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But his eccentric behavior is the Addams family. Like his life was basically the Addams family. And the scenes where you got like some sight gags, almost pantomime, that echoes the original spirit of the comic. Got that kooky gothic mixed with absurd. This movie,
the part where
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish that.
I was going to say that Christopher Lloyd played an excellent Fester.
Mm-hmm.
His Reverend Jim days from Taxi, and Emmett Brown, Doc from Back to the Future, and then to see him in Addams Family and nail it. Raul Julia, excellent. Angelica Houston, this was like one of her best roles. Like, she was doing movies since late 60s, early 70s, but and this was one of those better roles. Christina Ricci, she was 11, 12 years old, something like that. She also did some improvisation that embodied the character. It was great. Like, everybody was jiving. It was like the perfect cast. Throughout the 80s and then into the late 90s, they rekindle the experience after Hit the Mark. 80s shows were kind of subpar. Budgets weren't all there. You got the wonkiness of the producers. This was like the perfect time, those two movies, and God, if he had years to live, I bet there would have been a third in the series that would have kicked ass.
Yeah, I think the part where they're at the school and the teacher's talking to her, I'm really worried about Wednesday. And then she takes her and shows her the pictures about the people that they look up to or whatever. And it's her great aunt Capernia or whatever that was burned at the stake as a witch. What? every one of
Yeah.
us parents have had their kid draw something that looked inappropriate of some sort, and you had it hanging on your refrigerator and you're bragging about it, and other people look at it and go, "What the fuck is that?" That type of stuff. I just thought it was great. I just loved that whole look and the way that she looks. Did you talk to her parents, about the other kids liking certain things? I just thought it was great. I just loved the whole thing. And it just doesn't seem like we can get a movie like that. I mean, I just don't see them being able to
Yeah.
make that exact movie now
Not that much
because they
detail
can't
in these
can't
movies.
poke fun at anything anymore. You can't make fun of people. And they actually had George Bush's picture and Barbara Bush and what was there? Something Jane Pauley and other things on there. And which is great because you used to be able to use things like that and laugh about it. Today, they get pissed off about anybody making fun of anyone unless you're a white male that likes women. You're the one guy that everybody can make fun of. Nobody can make fun of anybody else, but they can make fun of you. And it's just sad because this was a very well done comedy. I mean, it was believable. You like the characters. If you have a movie and you don't like any of the characters, you don't give a shit what happens to them. It's a boring movie. It's not a movie that you can enjoy unless it has nothing but boobs and ass. And if it has blowing up and guns going off, people like that. No, Bruce, I'm just saying it's nice to have an actual story for a comedy because this is supposed to be a comedy, right?
Mhm.
And it was nice to be able
Not canon film.
to watch a movie like this and like the characters and like to see them have a happy ending, and root for them because you don't get that hardly anymore in any of the movies. The stories aren't very good and you just don't give a shit. You just don't care. And it's sad that we've gotten so used to monotonous nothingness that that when we do see something worth something, you're like, damn, that was good. Because I just went and saw Nosferatu, and it was so good. It was so well done. It was so
You liked
nice to
it?
go to the movies and
was
yeah,
awesome,
I
wasn't
just
it?
loved it. I'm ready to go see it again with someone, but nobody wants to see horror. And man, it was really scary. It had some times when I was like, oh my God, and I dreamed a little bit about it for a couple nights. So it was good, but it was really scary. And I don't recommend it for kids, but it's good to start seeing people who are getting serious about making entertainment for us again. I'm really happy about that because this was entertainment for a comedy. And you know me,
Yeah.
I'm not a comedy person. It's very few comedies that I even ever recommend because they're just not very good.
We've done 5 comedies.
Mhm.
The
I
Jerk,
know, that's not very many.
FDR, this. There's 2 others in there, but
Yeah, but
Man
True
with Two
Lies
Brains?
was a comedy, but it was an action too.
that's not a comedy. That's an action
And
film.
we did the one with the college kids. I'm trying to remember his name. The guy from Blues Brothers. We did that.
Oh,
And we did,
Animal House.
yeah, Animal House. We did that one too, and it was good. But there's just not very many that I would say, "Hey, this is a great comedy. You go see it." just very few.
We're gonna revisit a conversation that was made yesterday.
Mhm.
You guys have both seen The Substance, right?
Mhm.
You guys, okay? Those of you in chat,
Yes,
if you
I
haven't
loved
seen
it.
The Substance yet, get it on Amazon. Watch it. It's 2 hours and change, maybe. One of the best movies I've seen in years. Like one of the absolute best. I had to put that.
The ending was the best fat material ever. Oh my God, so hot.
I'm not even.
If you like your women, disfigured and Quasimodo.
I had to stop the movie 15 minutes before it's over, and I had to just go pet puppies. I had to go. My neighbor's got a dog, and I couldn't find her.
Because you were torn up because of it.
It got so well grotesque. Like I've not watched a movie that had such good body horror. I watch The Thing every month or so. Okay. And I
So
watch
you're talking about a new movie with actually good shit in it.
with money behind it.
This was on par with like The Thing and Videodrome.
Yeah, the perfect analogy. Videodrome, The Thing, Like this is right on par with that. And I thought that I was into body horror films until I saw this movie. And I'm a puss, and I'm just putting it on pause. I'm going to go pet a puppy for a minute because I really can't believe like the part where the girl, she puts the picture of Elizabeth Sparkles on her face, and she shuffles out, and everybody's there kissing her ass. Oh, you look so good. I love it when you smile. Um,
Yeah.
it's not that I couldn't watch it. Like I was watching it, but I'm like, fuck. They took this movie, and the third act is falling apart. That's what it really was. So I walked, and I couldn't find a dog, so I went on the internet and I saw German Shepherds, and then I went back to the film and I watched it, and it fucking ended great. But like, there's a part in the third act where the movie just absolutely fucking came to a screeching halt for me, and I was pissed. I need to stop.
I think that was done on purpose.
It was.
The way that the movie was flowing, it was to tangle you up there for a little bit to make you frustrated. That's what it was. I felt.
Boy, did they ever.
They're good. It was great, and that was a very new director too.
She said she wanted to make a feminist movie, which when I first read that, I'm like, what the fuck? Everybody and their sister's telling me to watch this film, and this is the fucking PR it gets.
But she's the kind of feminist that I am, basically, at her point of view about
not
loving who you are and accepting that we can't stay perfect forever. I mean, I work out, I try to eat right, I don't smoke, I do a lot of things to try to prolong it as long as I can, because I think I look better than a couple of my sisters. But the thing is because I take care of myself. And you don't have to have a bunch of shots in your lips, to make them all huge. You don't have to do all that. You just have to not get too much sun. Yeah, my allergies are my worst thing. I'm healthy as an ox, basically. But the thing, and I brush my teeth. I go to the dentist. I spend money to stay healthy, basically. And hopefully, I'll be like my grandmother. I'll be 101, sweeping my kitchen and die of a heart attack, in my kitchen, being able to do things for myself. That's what I want. That's how I want to pass away, doing something, but old. I want to be old, but not, in a wheelchair for 20 years before I die of old age. I want to be as healthy as I can. Do what?
Say again.
Oh no, I don't ever. I hope no one ever does that to me. I really do. I don't want that to happen. But I don't think I'm going to have dementia, because usually you'd already have, unless maybe I can't remember names, but I haven't been able to remember names since I was in high school. So, usually you have signs of dementia in your 40s. So I'm going to be getting it. I'll be getting it pretty quick.
Oh, thank God.
So,
I've
had family members that had dementia. So, it's pretty noticeable when it starts happening. And there's tests you can take online right now. You can get online and see if you have signs of dementia.
I've got an uncle that is suffering from alcohol-induced dementia with part of his VA issues.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks. Like, he's 30 years ago. And I've picked his brain on any of the subject. How do you approach somebody who barely survived, has no more about their experience? Like, it's delicate subject to touch without way. So like Steve never talked to my grandfather about his experience too. He was stationed in Africa. He was a mechanic in the Army Force and or Army Air Corps. To get memories, stories, little anecdotes from your loved ones, or the dementia hits, or they forget, pass away.
Mm-hmm.
That's my stepdad's side of the family, told us how like Pancho Villa came into our village, and they like literally threw her down a well because they thought he was gonna like just rape and pillage, destroy the village, and so she's sitting in a bucket in the bottom of a well while his men are coming through, and there's a little bit of a ruckus, and then he eventually her mom pulls her well, and it was like, holy crap, seen some stuff, and you get to hear these stories, a fraction of what they experienced, and it's cool. I think kind of derailed the conversation of the movie. Backtrack real quick. The scene with the lemonade stand. Now it was 50 cents, then it was 5 cents, and then you got arsenic and cyanide and all these horrible poisons, and then a lemon.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of my next door neighbor's eldest. He was trying to sell lemonade, and it's great if you live in suburban America where cars are driving down the roads and kids are playing in the street. This is one of those walled off sectional communities here in Idaho where you've got neighborhoods, but as like they used to be like in the 80s. Street, we got mostly adults. So he's sitting there trying to sell this stuff and nobody's stopping, not even the mailman. I just happened to come out to check the mail. And so I bought $3 worth of really crappy lemonade, but it made his day. And I remember back then I was thinking of the Addams family. Started laughing. And he's like, what's so funny? And I'm like, oh, never see the Addams Family movie? And he's like, no. I'm like, get that for you and watch it.
Yeah, I thought the lemonade, the whole lemonade thing was great because I think wasn't that little Girl Scout in the second movie too, the Addams Family Values?
Yeah,
okay, because she was a little bitch. She was a little bitch in the second one too, but she was adorable, even though she rolled her eyes and left. Is it made with real lemons, But everyone knows a kid like that. Everyone's had to go to school with a snotty, mean biatch that knows everything and that pushes. They're the most popular girl in school, or they're a cheerleader. I went out for a cheerleader when I was in 11th grade simply because I had some kids tell me that I couldn't do it, and I was like, F you, I can do it. And I made the team, but I hated it because I didn't want to have to jump around and do stupid tricks and all that stuff with all these other girls, but I did. And I got in the yearbook and all that stuff, but it wasn't me. I just did it out of spite, and I wish I hadn't. So I tell people, don't do that. Try not to get pissed off and make a decision when you're pissed, because you end up hating it later on. You'll regret it. But, I did do it, and, it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't such a, I don't know. I don't know why people think it's so great to be a cheerleader, but I did it. But you got to remember, I had 2 blonde sisters that were built like brick houses, and I was athletic. I was built like tall and skinny. I didn't really have a body at all. And so I get a boy that liked me. I meet him at the rodeo, whatever, and he'd come home to meet my mom. Everything's great. And then my sister comes home, either my older one right above me or the one below me, and they'd go, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Great." And then I'd never hear from them again. So, that's just the way it was. Plus, they were blonde.
That sucks.
Oh, well.
I
learned my lesson.
What was his name? I'm going to call him out online. Gabe Murphy. That's what it was. So, elementary school. Can't remember.
Yeah, McNabb, the girl's name that played the Girl Scout was Mercedes McNabb, and she's in both Addams Family and Addams Family Values. They actually give her a name. Amanda Buckman is her name in the
In the
Addams
second
Family
one?
Values.
Yeah, I just thought it was great. And then when they said, "Is your Girl Scout cookies made out of real Girl Scouts?" and she just walked off, I just loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And the kid that played Pugsley was adorable. The way his little bangs were cut real short and they stuck straight up. But the one thing I loved about the two children's characters is the fact that they were so full of pride of themselves. They weren't ashamed to be themselves. They were happy to be what they were, and they didn't try to
They
be.
did all the kooky things.
Yeah, no matter what anyone said or the way they were treated at school, they were happy to be themselves. And I just love that. I wish every kid could go to school, because I was the one that was picked on. I would have kids that come up and hit me in the back with their knuckle. I had guys calling me Flat Plains of America, Dolly Niblets. I was made fun of all the time. And I was in shop and ag right, took all that stuff. And boys were mean to me. And I remember when I was 11th grade and I was going to go to my first dance, there was a kid he was in my class, and all the people were mean to him because he kind of had like the hunchback a little bit, like not as bad as a kid that was in this movie, but he was like hunched over a little bit. And I asked him to go to the prom with me. So,
Right on.
and I had other guys ask me to go to prom, and I said, no, I already have a date, even though I didn't. So I asked him, I said, would you want to go to the prom? And he got a nice tux and everything. It was wonderful. And we're still friends. Every so often I'll go back to home where my parents were at, and I'll bump into him at the hardware store or something. And he'll say, how are you? And he's married. He's in a band, and he has a whole bunch of kids and stuff. But, I thought he was a nice guy, and I was in shop with him. So I just asked him if we didn't date or anything like that, but he was just a nice person, and we had a good time. And he bought me a beautiful corsage with an orchid on it, which is nothing I would normally wanted, but it was nice. It was fun. But that's how I am. I have more respect for someone who treats you with respect than someone who talks down and treats other people like dirt. Because if I see you treating other people bad, I probably won't give you the time of day. I'll probably just say, yeah, whatever, see ya, and just walk off. Because your personality should be real. You should want to be real with people if you expect people to be real with you. That's
Be
how
yourself.
Yeah. And I like it.
Other
I
people
like
think.
about you guys. The more I hang out with you guys, the more I'm thankful. I know I wore Bruce out. I tell him, thank you so much for helping me, stuff like that. But I just love hanging with you guys. You guys make me feel grounded. You give me hope.
Or you're thankful that you hang out with us online. That way you don't go to jail.
No, not just that. I mean,
Yeah,
I still
got
go out. I said, hey, guess what I'm going to be doing? Someone surprised me with a ticket to a concert in June. So I'm going to go see Kid Rock in June at the State Fair in Little Rock.
Woot.
So that's going to be fun.
Sounds like fun.
Yep. So I'm excited. But
Oh, yeah. So I was going to go off on Gabe Murphy.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Hold on. I go off on a team.
His mom was the typical PTA leader, the most vocal. And then, she wanted him to play the starring role in our little elementary school production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So he had to have the lead part. She was a Cub Scout mom.
Those are worst. Those are the worst.
The overachiever. Makes me ill think about it. So when it came around to the rest of the class, only so many roles, and for some reason the teacher thought that I was gonna flake out and be an Oompa Loompa. Thank God that I didn't do that. I didn't want to do that. It's I don't want to be an Oompa Loompa. You know what the Oompa Loompas were?
Were you short? Yeah.
The kids wore a knit cap and a trash bag as the costume, just the hole cut out, and then little red on their cheeks, and they did stupid little Oompa Loompa dance, and it looked really retarded. And I'm so thankful that I had the balls to say I want to be Augustus Gloop. Now at the time I was, a 55-pound weakling, skinny as a rail, so I had to get dressed up in a suit and then take a pillow and shove it underneath my shirt, so I'd have this big old stomach and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I did really good in that, and got some laughs. But watching that video now is super cringe. There's a couple of funny parts, but elementary school production, no talent kids, like ugh.
It's not the kid's fault. It's the
I would
fucking
love
actor.
to see you.
Yeah,
your
like we didn't
costume.
know any better. We weren't professionally trained, but for fuck's sake, I'm glad that wasn't on the internet. No, that was strictly camcorder lost because it taped over by some TV movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good times.
That's how I know that we've got tapes that occasionally did not get labeled, and somebody would start recording on something and they'd stop recording and they'd go and they'd play, and like you're watching Terminator 2 and all of a sudden there's a Hardee's commercial in the
Oh
middle,
God.
or
Yeah.
right after the chase in the canal. It's like fuck. Yeah,
Yeah, that would suck.
that happens. That happened. Once you record on something that seems like you can just keep recording on it, and you fat finger the remote one day, and you're like fuck. And that's what happened with my dad or my uncle. I know that happened because those guys.
You
It's
find a
Saturday. Oh, we're watching Terminator 2. No, my uncle was dead at the time, but no, my uncle Barry watched that movie a lot too. But that was like my dad's favorite movie for many years. It was like the perfect guy's film because everything you want to watch in a Arnold film happens in T2.
You go and
Yeah, I
look at
don't
the
know who else is gonna.
tapes, and it's like a snap to see the commercials, the presentation before and after the movie was like a televised movie, different than something you would see today. Like 40 years ago, yeah, it was low budget, but they would actually put forth more effort in the advertisements and whatnot
I
for a movie.
I was
or
gonna say, Bruce. Somebody put an idea for a movie that I'd not seen.
Boxing Helena.
Yeah, Boxing Helena or something like that. I haven't seen that. Have you seen it?
No, looks like it's a dirty girl movie though.
What does that mean?
They received an NC-17 rating from the NPAA, and then when they released it in the
Well, I'd
States,
have to see the trailer and see if it's too naughty or whatever.
I mean, it's got Jennifer Lynch in it, and Sherilyn Fenn, so I mean, it might be all right. Julian Sands and Bill Paxton are in it.
I like Bill Paxton.
I like Julian Sands. Bill Paxton is
I
just
like both of them.
every man. The movie that, like, if
I
you're gonna watch a
remember
Bill
the cover.
Paxton movie,
Okay,
say again.
I just saw it. I just looked it up and I saw the cover and I'm like, I remember the cover. You're passing by at the video store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did it come out?
93.
Oh, okay. So not very long after this one.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it because Kim Basinger backed out of it. I remember that. I remember she was.
And that's another thing. I never thought she was very pretty or anything like that, Kim Basinger, but everybody was drooling over all the time.
Once she was really pretty, and that was in Batman.
I couldn't
Batman
stand it.
and the 70s.
Oh, I thought she sucked, but oh well. That's just the way it is, I guess.
You thought she sucked?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you didn't like her performance as Vicky Vale.
Mm-mm.
I'm surprised because I thought she did pretty good with Vicky Vale.
She was okay. I mean, she was okay, but I don't. I'd have to sit down and look at what actresses were around back then because I think there was another actress that I thought would have been a lot better, but because she was a sex pot or whatever is the only reason I feel like she got picked for it. I thought her scream was fake, and, just little things. I just didn't think she was very good for it, but I thought Hugh
What do
Jackman.
you think of Daryl Hannah?
I didn't like I like Daryl Hannah. She was pretty good. I loved her in that movie Kill Bill.
I want to.
That's a movie I would love for us to do, the 2-part Kill Bill series.
Part of me loves Kill Bill.
I love the over-the-top everything about it. That was one of the things I really liked about it.
And
we had women that kick ass, but that wasn't fake.
It was good. I saw it and the sequel a couple of times. I had the soundtrack. It's been a while since I've seen it.
But what did you guys think about the woman that played Fester's fake mother, that actress in this movie?
It's Temu version of Susan Sarandon.
Really?
Yeah.
That's who I thought of at all.
I saw her.
I was thinking of like Rosie O'Donnell type character. That's who I was thinking. Older,
Yeah.
just snooty, and I didn't like her. But she did a really good job at a character you couldn't stand, because I was shocked when I first saw the movie how much I had liked the woman who ended up being with Cousin It later on, that when she let her hair down, she was a lot of fun, and they made a cute little couple, and they were in the second movie together.
Yep.
So, and you liked her then because she's now happy. She's happy in a relationship with someone that listens to her and compliments her and stuff. Totally opposite of what she had with her husband in the first movie. So I thought she did a really good job, because you need to not like someone for their character arc. And she did a good job at doing that, I thought. My opinion.
I thought she played a good part, but she looked like Temu Susan Sarandon. I'm not trying to say nothing negative about her. She just looked like somebody who said, I really like Thelma and Louise. I want to dress like that. And I could see her in a Broadway play as Thelma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could completely see that. I'm not trying to besmirch her or run her through. I'm just trying to say, like, she looks like dollar store Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
She did good. She did really good. There's a lot of good performances in this movie, and I'd never seen half of them before, because usually whenever I've seen past 2 or 3 years, it's been clips on YouTube or spaces on whatever, not spaces, reels on Facebook or whatever. And then I finally stopped watching that crap, and here we are. We watched the entire show. I actually like this movie. If you're in the chat and you've seen the Addams Family 1991 before, go ahead, give your review of it. Let us know, and I'll have Janet read off your quick review of it. And I thank you.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Six Nations. If you, critically speaking, what would you rate the movie?
Oh. Let's see. So, not that the soundtrack was horrible. I've adapted my ways in 30 years. Set design was awesome. Dialogue was quirky and excellent. The way scenes were shot, it fit. It was, I'd say this was 70, 75. If you got kids and you're family oriented, this would be 80%. I don't know what the current rating is on this thing, but this was definitely high 70s to 80% corpses. Yeah. And I would recommend it. And if you're a fan of Raul Julia, you might get a little retarded and emo because more.
Yeah.
But to go back to all of his cool stuff. Like we always say, you're sick of the stuff that's being foisted upon us now by Hollywood and the current thing. Look
Mhm.
at the back catalog. There's thousands upon thousands of better alternatives. One of them, it held up over 30 years later.
Mhm.
The characters grow and make a name for themselves. Like Christina Ricci, she was it Mermaids was her breakout role,
Mm-hmm.
which
With
was
Cher.
what, a year earlier.
I never saw Mermaids.
No.
And now she's in the current itinerary of Addams Family.
Mm-hmm.
She did a
She
great
plays
job in
teacher,
that.
right?
Yeah. And so it's cool. Like
I haven't seen
they
that one
pay
either.
respect to her accomplishments as a child actor, and
Mhm.
she's passing on the torch to what seems to be a very based and professional actress, Vega. I think she did it excellent in Wednesday. There's a little bit of woke. It's not like choke you with a turkey leg kind of thing being jammed down your throat. It's Netflix. You got to assume that they're going to screw something up. Take it with a
They will.
grain of salt. But yeah, this movie was awesome. I recommend it. I kind of want to see the and then
Mhm.
just because I like kicking myself in the nuts sometimes. I'm going to go the 80s versions and then the Tim Curry 98 version and see how horrible those were. And then it will remind me, yeah, this
Tim Curry did
is the
it.
benchmark. Or
I didn't know that at all.
yeah, it was late 90s. I think it was like a failed pilot. They were going to like try to kick off the series again.
Didn't work.
Was it a cartoon?
There was a bunch of those holiday specials. They did 2 animated movies in 2019 and 20. And those are supposed to be good. They're kind of based off like the caricatures, and then yeah, you had the various cartoons.
Mhm.
After this came out, there was the 90s cartoon series that ran for a couple of seasons. That was based off of the characters from the movie here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go. Yeah, 1960s TV series was awesome, and then the movies here in the 90s, those were awesome. Like, if you don't see anything else, this will leave a good taste in your mouth. I recommend this movie. Everybody will like it, and if you don't like it, then you're probably not human.
Elizabeth.
Dead internet theory.
I as long as they don't make another Addams Family movie with Elizabeth Banks directing, because she's kind of like poison for movies, it seems like, and she can do good things, but she behind the camera she can't. Like, she needs to go back to school and go on long walks and figure out what people really want. She's not a good director.
Well, I didn't know she directed any.
Stick to acting.
She directed the newest Charlie's Angels movie, which
Maybe producing.
I didn't see it.
I'm a Charlie's Angels fan. I
We
blame
need to do that then. We need to do the Charlie's Angels ones. The ones with Drew Barrymore.
I can't even watch those.
Come
I
on.
like the TV series. The TV series was
yeah, we can do that one too. I liked it. I liked the ones that came out. I thought they were good.
Jacqueline Smith over Cameron Diaz every day, and I will watch 48 minutes of Charlie's Angels every day.
I like the fact that Demi Moore was a bad guy in that one movie. I thought it was really good, and I thought it was well done. And just like that other one that I got you to watch, Mr. Brooks.
Yeah, Mr. Brooks's foot was
It was
good.
really, really well done. It was a very good movie, and it was a movie I'd never heard of. It was like, you know, it just came out of nowhere, and it had two huge stars at the beginning playing a person with split personality, and I was like, wow, this is great. And it was a very well done movie.
Kronos, I'm not taking a break. I'm just letting the paint dry so I can get the varnish on there and I can stop fucking with this thing because we're done. We're moving on to the wings.
Yeah, he's ready to put them wings
Off the
on.
Magic Dragon is almost done.
Well, I wanted to say that I want to give this at least a 90 out of
Okay.
or 9 out of 10 because I really, really like this movie for a comedy, which is really high for me because I don't normally give that high a score. And just like I said, I really critiqued it, and I found 4 or 5 little things that really, but it had nothing to do with the acting, or the story really. So, but when you said that about the different directors of photography, I was like, well, that makes sense now for some of the little things that I figured out.
You have the different directors of photography, and Barry Sonnenfeld's entire getting to the chair, the majority of his work was all being a director of photography.
Mhm.
I mean, he did great work as a director of photography. Let me pull up his IMDb real quick, and I'll just go through that because that in of itself like laid the foundation for why I am perfectly okay. Very there we go. I mean, later on he directed some really good. Like this was not a bad movie.
Mm-mm.
This is a fantastic film for 91. Can't there's some other movies in 91 that are better, like Terminator 2 for me was peak 91. No, wait, that was 1990. No, it was
Yeah,
91.
well,
It was
Technically, yeah.
91.
Baby girl said she's giving this a 9, and she said she wished she had all those books. So
Yeah,
she
but
liked it. I thought, see, little things like that in this movie is what made it the Addams Family. You see what I mean?
okay. You remember the song Rockin' the Casbah?
Yeah.
He was a fucking cinematographer for the music video.
Really?
No way. He worked
Yep.
with the Clash.
Yeah, he worked with the Clash. And then he did the movie
Wow.
Blood Simple. He directed the photography for
That was a
Blood
great
Simple.
movie.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
We will need to put that on there. He did after school specials. He did 2 after school specials in 84. Then he had a movie that I've never seen, never heard of called Compromising Positions.
I
Then
haven't
he
seen
did
Sounds
Double
familiar.
Take, which was a TV miniseries.
Mhm.
He had Welcome Home Bobby. Then in 87, he did another show called Classified Love in 86, whatever. But in 87, he raised up his game and he was part of the wonderful movie Raising Arizona. And then
That was a great movie.
yeah, Raising Arizona, fucking great movie. Then he was with Billy Crystal and Ann Ramsey and Danny DeVito in Throw Mama from the Train in 87.
Mhm.
In
Yeah,
88,
my mom loved that one.
it's a great movie. Ann Ramsey's, we could do her entire filmography from like late 70s on to her point of death, and I'd just be happy. He hangs out with Bill Cosby, and he does Big in 88. And he keeps Bill Cosby on his Rolodex towards the front, and he does the director of photography for When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And yeah, everybody saw it. Every guy wanted to see Meg Ryan fake an orgasm because that's a great trip down memory lane for the fucking Five Knuckle. Miller's Crossing, which I'd never heard of, but it's highly rated. It's 1990. And then in 1990, he also did the DP work for Misery, the greatest Stephen King to film adaptation I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was very, very good movie. I
Yeah.
loved Misery.
I love that film. I
Ooh,
love
you
the
lit.
angle. Yeah. Then he directed The Addams Family in 91. And he's been a director ever since. He did For Love of Money, Addams Family Values. He directed Get Shorty. Then in 97, he did Men in Black.
Oh, I love Men in Black.
He did Maximum Bob. And then he really, like, I don't know what happened with Wild Wild West, but we're going to review that. we are going to review that because
Was that the one with what was the name of the actor? Damn it.
Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith.
yes,
And he in it. Yeah, I heard it was terrible, so I didn't go see it.
Miller's Crossing is a good film noir, gangster film.
he does an episode for The Tick.
I heard that was good.
The Tick TV series.
Some of my friends said they thought it was good.
He does an episode with Tick with Pat Warburton. He directs an episode of The Tick. He did Big Trouble in 2002, which I've seen that a couple times. Then he directs again in 2002. He's got Will Smith on direct dial. Men in Black 2.
Yeah.
And then they have some other stuff. He does the Hackett movie, the Bridget Show TV movie, Funny and Farsi TV series. He does Men in Black 3, the really poor Beverly Hills Cop TV movie from 2013. He series of unfortunate events TV series from 17 to 19. This guy has got chops. So Barry Sonnenfeld is a really good director, and we get to see him in this movie because in the scene where
in the train where he's going to crash the train.
Before the train crashes, he's in the train passenger car, in the coach car. So I mean, this is a hell of a director. This guy's great, and so I'm willing to explore some of his stuff because it looks like he's done really good. I want to look at Blood Simple. I really want to look at Wild Wild West because I wanted to see that summer. And because everyone and their sister said, no, don't see it. It sucks. Okay, we won't.
I got to say something real quick. It's Kronos said, why is Janet a vampire? I'm not really a vampire. I'm dressed up like Morticia Addams. And I got the whole
That's what a vampire would say to throw us off from thinking you're
I'm not wearing my fangs because I do have fangs that, you have to melt wax and put them on so they stay on. I'm not wearing them.
Has Janet been in any movies yet? That would ruin the whole mystique behind Janet. We've been trying to figure this out for years. There's no information. You got to do your Scooby-Doo detective work.
And when you find out, you have to be quiet about it.
One day the mystery.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't say anything. Now, there was a couple people in here that do know in the chat, and one of them was a total accident that they found out because I accidentally posted something I would normally post on another website.
The ones that found out.
And they saw it. He goes, "Can you help me?"
And wanted to say something.
And I was like, "Oh, no." So, fixed it.
The ones that found out and wanted to say something, well, now they Janet's acreage for her chickens.
You're helping the grub population.
I don't raise hogs yet.
Grow.
Because I heard people do that with pigs in real life. And they got arrested for it, didn't they? Do you remember that story?
My friend who owns the dairy farm, they raise pigs, taking the business credit card and going on Amazon, and she threatens to kill him like 25 different ways every day because you can't stop spending. So like I asked her, are you going to feed them to the pigs? And she's like, no, I got a cesspool that'll work just fine. So you got to be aware of the piggies.
Tell people that I have done a lot of different things, but most of the stuff I do is like second crew. It's stand in, hand double, body double, that kind of stuff. So there you go. Get to be there, get to do all the stuff, and not have to worrying about whether someone is going to recognize me or something. So, oh well.
I'm one of her friends. That's all. I'm just here for the ride. I classify this movie as like a really good comedy. You don't really get those much. In 1998, I think the movie that really redefined comedy for me was like Something About Mary, because it's just so gross and over the top, and I love that film.
It was.
But I don't think this movie quite aspires to that level, but at the same time, it doesn't really need to. It's the Addams Family. There's a lot more sight gags and a lot more things. The way this movie, the way that Barry allowed Christina Ricci to redefine the bookish, nerdish girl of Wednesday Addams and turn her into a macabre little creature. Yeah,
Both of them were.
yeah, like
He played with knives and blew stuff up.
yeah, like the knife scene with the kids, just like throwing knives all over. It was
And when she's walking by Mama and her mother at the table with a knife, a big giant butcher knife, her mom goes, "Is that for Pugsley?" And she nods her head. So he goes, "Took it from her." "No, I don't think so." She sets it on the table and she gets that giant knife, that big cleave thing, and hands it to Wednesday, and she walks off. So just little things like that, just setting them up for to be in prison, because they're gonna be Jeffrey Dahmers basically. But see, back then they made fun of stuff like that, even because it wasn't like anybody would think that your kid's gonna end up Jeffrey Dahmer, even though that really does happen in real life. But years ago, we used to laugh at everything, all kinds of stuff. We could laugh about it. And today, you basically, well, hopefully it's going to get better where you can laugh about stuff again, be entertained, because it's supposed to be entertainment, right?
Charles Addams and the Addams family were goth before goths.
Yeah.
So this has a legacy of coolness before the hype.
So we got people asking, "Oh, have you been in any movies?" Like, we just answered this question. Like, if you didn't hear, she's got a chunky resume. I've seen the work body she's got. So don't expect Janet to jump anything. She's invested well. She's not like one of these people that's like trying to dive on everything and like steal all the money out of Hollywood.
Well, no, and you got to remember, I was doing quite a bit of stuff until COVID. And when I said no, I wouldn't get the jab. And then you'd have to have a card to prove you'd been jabbed up to be in anything. So I just stopped taking those jobs or putting in for them. And I did mostly promo work, which is, when you go to a big mall and you have somebody walking around going, "You want to try this new vape?" or whatever at a convention, stuff like that. And you just walk around dressed up in a costume and you sell stuff for someone.
There was a company I worked for about 2.5, 3 days. And I was out of Springfield, Illinois, and it was part of a firm out of Chicago, but it was after Cannon Group had already closed. And all I was supposed to do was go to White Oaks Mall and a couple other centers that people were just up and about, moving around. And I had 2 suitcases full of like movie tickets. I was just passing out the whole time. And like, I didn't get paid until they had shown the movie. They had their count. And I got paid like, what was it? Over the course of 3 days, like $270. And this is back in like the early 2000s. There wasn't a whole lot of money to be made back then. You're still making $5.25 minimum wage. So I did good. I did all right. I humped for 10 days or for 10 days doing stuff. For 3 days, I was doing that. And I mean, just doing things like that, just doing like stupid light PR stuff, that still pays okay. That'll pay your water bill. It wasn't something, like, you can't get rich off a lot of stuff on the lower end of the scale, but that's why you're supposed to improve and get better and become good with, your mouth and talk to people and be like trying to network and trying to help people out. You need a ride? I've got a truck. We can throw everything in the bed. We're going to go take off. We're going to take care of this. And next thing you know, you're on site and somebody's like, why are you here? Well, I drove him here, but I've got a truck. Really? Come around back. And that's the next thing you find out. You're like, all right, me and my truck are a prostitute today. Cool. And that's just kind of how that works. I mean, just be available. If you're starving, if you need to pay your bills, make yourself available.
That's right. You'll work. You'll do stuff. And I've never had to, I've worked in a chicken plant. I have worked in, as a waitress. I've done lots of different jobs, but I've never been a stripper. I'll never do any of those things. I mean,
You've never done the vice work, which you don't need to. You're respectable as hell, and you want to be able to talk to your kids about the work you do.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, and that's why. But I won't diss anyone that has done that, because I lived in New Orleans. Believe me, I got a lot of friends that were down the quarter working and doing things that I was offered lots of stuff to do. Just like I said, I got a thing noticing, hey, do you want to be in Hot Tub Time Machine too? All you gotta do is flash your tits in the hot tub, and I was like, nah. But I passed it around to other people and let them do it. So
and they did.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, but I hadn't seen the movie. But what I'm saying is I get tons of casting notices for tons of things. I'm very picky about what I'm going to do. And now that you don't have to have COVID card or whatever, I'm starting to get more stuff. But if I lived somewhere like Vegas or Arizona, another big, huge city, I would probably get way more stuff.
If you live down close to Nolans, I think you'd be getting a lot more. Yeah, if I lived back there
again, I would probably get a lot more stuff. But it was getting so bad. Crime was just so bad. You couldn't even walk to your car from the grocery store without feeling like, even during the daytime, it was really scary.
We just got told that if we were going to be in Austin more often, that we could probably be helping some of the local economy with their burgeoning, their little tiny movie productions they're trying to do in Austin, Texas, because there's like a couple places where they do have like some stowage, and they have to have like the sites for the dumping of the grease, because you do have catering that comes in. But I know for a fact, like if we really want to do that, we can just take this fucking money, because we've got our own dump site. I can cut my neighbor's throat if I want to.
I can send you some links to sign up for. I mean, to be helping out with Crafty or whatever else.
I want to deny that. I'm going to say no, because it's not my truck, and the reason
I'm
why
saying you can pass it to other people, and maybe once or twice get some, maybe get a call that you weren't expecting.
I got a friend that he's got his truck completely legally out. We are waiting on some things with the fucking TDOT, because we don't have our own numbers on there, but the numbers from the guy we bought it from are still legal. He's still running his fleet. And so we're like, well, fuck it. When they finally can get around to us and allow us to do this legal bullshit, we're going to do that. But until then, we're just going to run with the fog, and, we're going to be fine. And Bruce doesn't drive anywhere there's a scale house anyway. Oh, you're open? Yeah, I'm not on this road.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing in the industry, because you think you can haul like so many thousands of gallons, and then you find out like the grease you picked up is heavier than 9 pounds per gallon, and your calculation's completely off, and you're over fucking weight, and you don't have enough axles you can drop from your truck to equal out the amount of weight distribution you got. And it just, well, I'm getting a $6,000 fine. And because I'm not a employee, I'm a quote unquote a 1099 guy. There's some other responsibilities with that. I don't mind it. I really don't. I love it. I love being part of this guy's crew, and I love, having basically my own Peterbilt to fuck around with. Man, this is just like, there's a lot. There's a lot involved with it. Six Nations. You said you qualified this movie. This movie is like a 70 to 80. I'm going to give it a 78. And I think it's only for the fact that I don't rate comedies that high. It's very rare. It's very rare.
Like if it's Bruce Campbell or Kurt Russell, easily 80 plus. Not knocking Raul Julia.
No,
he's more of like a dramatic actor.
Very, very good dramatic
he did an
actor.
Excellent job in
most
this.
everyone. The only comedian in this movie really was Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Everyone else were typically dramatic actors. That's one reason why I was very impressed.
I was not expecting this movie to be as good as what it was.
That's what Okay. Timu Sarandon, Notorious
Mm-hmm.
with freaking
I don't know. I didn't see no tourists.
Cary Grant. Cary
Yep.
Grant. She was probably really, really hot, and did really good work.
Thank you for being
And
here.
now in the '90s, the card shark or the loan shark, who's manipulated Fester,
Oh, yeah.
and she did a good job. Like, you don't like her, she's a bitch, an evil woman who just wants the doubloons, not realizing what
Mhm.
she's getting into, because it's the Addams family, and they've got a haunted mansion and all that kooky, creepy stuff that goes with it. It was great.
What one of the things I wanted to add, I forgot to
Yeah.
add earlier, was the fact that the woman playing the fake mother to Fester, after you find out that she just found him tangled up in some nets and stuff and brought him in, and then because he had lost his memory and he was a not really
Not
smart
himself.
or anything like that, she took advantage of this guy. She basically used him as a slave or whatever to wait and hand and foot on her. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
she completely Joe Biden'd him.
Mm-hmm. So it was pretty gruesome. The more to me, it was so close to the end when you really found out that it wasn't what she did to him, that you really felt sorry for him, but she didn't get what she really deserved. You saw her fly through the air and they landed in the caskets that were wide open. And then Pugsley said, should we, but they're not dead. And she said, and Wednesday said, well, does that matter? So I thought that was a really, really good ending for them too, because you wanted to see them both get their just desserts, and they did in this movie. So all of it was actually really good. It was what?
So Angelica Houston plays Morticia, and she's in a comedic role, and she does really
very rare
well.
Yeah, I thought she was wonderful.
The amount of makeup and gear that she had to wear to maintain that form, like, that was hardcore.
Yeah.
I think it was a year earlier she was in The Witches.
Oh,
and I remember in grade school, teacher read us that book, and it was an awesome book. And then when the movie came out, I remember seeing the advertisement and having her transform into that ugly, bald-headed crone of a witch, the head witch.
Horrible.
And the children, that's dogs' droppings, like, traumatic. I was preteen, going in puberty then, and like, by advertisements like that, like, if I was like 5, be traumatized big time.
Yeah, she was hideous.
All the little kids, they're all witches, or they turn them into mice. Like, that's creepy. And then she turns around and does Morticia Addams and nails it. It was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really
just goes to show the acting chops. It's a genetic thing. Like, John Huston, her father, great actor, great director. Walter Huston, her granddad. Didn't they all win Emmys?
They were huge award winners.
3 generations.
They were big award winners. They were
so like she's got the acting chops. She was a model. There were some flop movies, but she's got steady work. She does a good job, and it shows in this. And so, like, if you break it down, like, this movie has a little bit of everything. Viewer, the first time experiencer, the kids, longtime cinema buffs. Like, this was one of those peak movies of the 90s. It may not have been a blockbuster as well as some of the more known in that year or decade, but it stands out and it holds up well. Later, I'm digging it, and I would watch it again.
Yeah, like
In fact, I might actually see the sequel because I want to see Pubert, the baby. And
You haven't seen the third movie yet?
both this and the movie that I believe got the most money for 91, that would be Terminator 2. I believe that's the top ranking movie of that year. Both of these movies had huge pinball releases from Bailey. Bailey was on her A game at the time. They just like they were still recovering from the crash, and Nintendo had taken over the home video game market, and Super NES was getting ready to roll out and really begin its push. But Bailey backed off the video games, and they're like, we're going back to the silver ball. And so they put out, like within just a couple years, High Speed, Getaway. Then they had the DMD dot matrix displays came out for pinball. So they had that on the Addams Family and Terminator 2 were the first two that I remember. Then Getaway High Speed Part 2 came out, and they just had this run, like the late 80s to like mid 90s of Bailey pinball machines just hit, and they had good licensing. They had amazing replayability. They had that one more game syndrome that you just like, let me grab my last fucking dollar. Let me see if I can get a fucking replay here. And both of these movies had that. And the Addams Family, like, as much as you might complain that like Bruce only rated it 78, listen, I'm not looking at the comedy. The comedy of the movie is good. The script is great. What killed me, what made me laugh so fucking hard is all the damn sight gags, all the Addams-isms that you see in this movie that completely tie it together and bring it back to like something that's much larger. I have no idea. I've never seen the old TV series. I've just seen the Hanna-Barbera Addams Family with Scooby-Doo. And I have no clue about this other stuff. So for me, this movie...
I'll let you in on a secret.
Go ahead.
The first time that I saw this movie, it was because I was just butt tired. I had done a bunch of crap earlier in the day. Went to go see it with my fam. I passed out in the movie, so I had to watch it another 2 times. It was well worth it.
You saw it 3 times in theater. 2 of the times you were awake for.
I saw it 3 times in the theater. The first time I fell asleep watching it, and that wasn't because the movie was bad. I was just damn tired.
I
had a lot of friends that used to go to the movies and sit in the back row and sleep because they said that the seats were comfortable and it was air conditioned. And it was the dollar movie, so they said it was cheaper than renting a room, and they could sleep in there for 2 or 3 hours, straight. And they said they got a good nap, and it was cheap. So, doesn't mean
I'm guilty.
The pinball machines, like, I recall that the Boardwalk Arcade, had 2 rows pinball machines, and Addams Family for the longest time was one of them. And then little old style arcade, 70s and 80s, so it was like old timey stuff. And then you had your Pac-Man, your Galaga, whatever.
Are you talking about like the old electromagnetic switches arcades, like they had the shooting stuff, and they would have like the little character come across on
the shooting gallery on the opposite end.
Yeah,
you could do that now with guns with water coming out.
Yeah,
so I'm taking my kids to a bunch of those little carnivals that have that type of stuff.
Jackie Blue says this is one of my favorite comedies. It was not my favorite. This is a very well done comedy. And like I said, it's a 78 out of 100. This is really scoring high for comedy for me. I thought it was good. The high points for me are all the just the sight gags. That everything just comes together. It really just amazing.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a very good movie, a family movie that you could sit with your 10-year-old and watch it, even though there was a lot of romantic innuendos.
But
They
that
weren't
that
dirty.
that was
They were
because
just
they
romantic
forced the movie
words.
in PG-13.
Mhm.
They forced the movie to take the PG-13 route because of the implied violence that
Because of
Wednesday
the
Addams.
knives. I mean, look at all the violence in it. They're throwing knives, they're shooting darts, their crossbows are shooting at each other.
And so what
People
Barry
are
did, Barry took he took
Your
the
bondage
script.
stuff. There's lots of bondage and stuff in there, tying up and electrocuting Pugsley, all that. I can see why that was in there. But if you're watching this with your 10-year-old or 12-year-old and they ask any question, you can say, well, this was just for fun. This isn't stuff you'd really do. And plus, I don't know a parent that's going to let their kid play with knives or run with
Go ahead
scissors and things like that.
and stick
Why
that
it's
fork in the
funny.
socket and see what happens.
Who says a penny doesn't
I
go
had that
far?
happen to one of my kids. I had just taken my one little toddler, basically 2-year-old toddler, to one of those little neighborhood things where they had the police and the firemen, and they talk about safety, and they give you all these little things to stick in your light sockets and stuff so that your kids won't be sticking stuff in there. And they had these little rubber things to put on your keys, your house keys and stuff. And I had my kid, I'm not going to say which one, but all of a sudden, they came in the kitchen. I was washing dishes and they looked up at me and said, "Dat go pop." Well, they were in the other room. And I was like, "What?" And they go, "Dat go pop." And I went in there and I went, I almost had a heart attack. It was a huge black orb around the outside smoke, or a stain on the wall from the smoke,
Right, Art.
where they had taken the car key that had just put those rubber things on and stuck it into the light, into the plug-in, and it I guess it shorted out. But if I hadn't put those on there, I don't know what would have happened. And it was that fast, and I almost had a heart attack. I cried and everything after I got over the shock of knowing that they were fine. But I'm telling you, being a parent is a scary thing, and you need to know what you're doing and try to pay attention. Don't let them be by themselves very long, especially when they're that little.
To be honest, I wasn't a problem kid. Never stuck things in the light socket, but knock over a bottle lamp that my mom made out of an old wine bottle. And when I went to go pick it up, I touched some exposed screws and got a nice jolt. Electric leaf blower that the extension cord got wet, and I was at my sensei's house doing a little Mr. Miyagi yard work. It got zapped. So I switched to a rake. Those were like the instances. Oh, and then there was the time that my Uncle Ken got a new Harley, and he drove around town for like 6 hours, and I must have been 3 or 4, and the tailpipe was all shiny chrome. Well, I was playing out in the yard and didn't realize 350 degrees and torched my hands.
Oh,
we're just getting
all the stuff we did
into the child abuse stuff at the hospital. So like my eyes out, my mom's got my hands wrapped, and we go there. She wants them to, fix the problem, and they wouldn't treat me until I was able to say whether or not I injured myself or if it was my parents.
Yeah.
And I'm too young to know. All I know is my hands are burnt and I'm crying, and that's all I'm doing. And so my mom got frustrated, and she's like, "Fine, I'll just take him home and slap some Vaseline on it and call it good." And it wasn't until after she said that in a sarcastic way that they treated my hands. So aside from those instances, I wasn't one of those reckless kids. My brother, on the other hand, he'd stick Legos up his nose or what else?
Yeah. telling you, it's hard being a parent, especially if you're trying to keep your kids, as safe as you can, and not be smothering. Because I see so many parents that are just so smothering.
They're helicopter mode.
That's why I
They're
like my
hovering parents, the ones that never leave them alone for 5
status as a
minutes,
uncle.
to play by themselves. That's scary and sad.
Being an uncle is awesome. I get to play with the kids. I get to educate them or corrupt them depending on my mood. And then if I get sick of the kids, I just go, okay, get the kids back. It's great.
Yeah, kids are fine, whatever. I'm very thankful that the majority of my family lives over 100 miles away from me, like minimum. Like I love my cousin, love her kids, love her boys. I can only handle so much of her oldest boy. Like he's a challenged one, either Asperger's or some level of spectrum. But like he's a good kid. He really is, and he's going to come out fine. But it's just been a pain getting through the process of he's a child, and he needs to work through these challenges. And I don't have the patience because one, I'm not the dad, and two, it's something that he has to put forth his effort, because otherwise you're just telling the kid, let's try to not be so Asperger-y, whatever that means. And I hate being a.
The older you get, the harder it gets too, because you go from pathetic to empathetic to get off my lawn.
No, I'm not. I go somewhere and I'll be shopping at the grocery store, and I'll see someone go past me and they got this little kid standing up in the seat part of their car. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I can't watch it because I just know they're going to fall off and smash their head on the ground or something. So I'm one of those people. I don't say anything, but I want to help them.
There's a actual like number of how many kids die or get severely injured because of shopping carts every year. And when I see things like that, I just stand and I just watch and I wait.
Oh, I can't, because I get, there's a feeling you kind of, when you see someone on TV and they get hit in the balls or they fall off and hit their head, and you get this like little jolt that goes through your body. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It's like you feel their pain for a few seconds, like it just goes real fast. That's what happens to me when they go by or I see it. I instantly get that jolt, and I'm like, and then I have to turn around and leave, because if I see it, I'm gonna go off on that parent.
Janet, these are the same people that they feel no pain whatsoever while they're driving. They're on fucking Facebook or Instagram or texting their sister, brother, aunt, grandma, what the fuck ever, and they're cutting guys like me off in traffic. So I just like. I rub my hands together like a happy little raccoon, and I just watch and wait for the inevitable physics lesson to take place.
Well, I'm talking about the kids. I don't want to see a kid get hurt. I've been in many places, and I'm like watching this little kid just cooling or whatever, and I just want to go over and say, "Can I hold your baby?" I just want to do that really bad.
I empathize
all the difference between like a real parent who pays attention to their child, and then the vapid. On Instagram or Facebook or whatever type parent where they're not paying attention to the kid. The kid's like crying and or knocking shit over in the store, and like you get used to it. You get numb.
Yeah, and that's like, where I'm at.
I can tune out. But then that's old school that probably got their ass beat, and they smack the hell out of the kid. Or they yell out the kid's name.
You get arrested for that. Like, someone calls the cops on you in the store. Try to discipline.
Half a dozen times I've been at the store, he yells at their kid, Josh. I'm in mortal fear of my life. I'm like having fucking PTSD flashbacks of my parents. And
one time, Sandy and I went to a grocery store with my mom, and my mom told us to sit by the door. There was this long bench there. Okay. And she just said, sit right here. I'm going to get milk and bread. It was all she said she was going to get. So she didn't want to drag us to the store. She told us to sit there. And I think we were like 7 and 6, maybe 6 and 7. And I was sitting there and I looked over and there's one of those gumball machines that has a little rolly thing that goes down where the gum goes around the outside.
Oh,
It was
the fancy
cool. So I went over and I didn't have any money. And Sandy starts turning the thing and gum starts coming out. So I said, get down there and put your shirt under there. So she held her shirt and I just kept turning the button and gum just kept coming. And she had a huge shirt full of gum. And then I was down there letting mine fill up when my mom came back and she's like, well, how did you get that gum? And where'd you get the money? And I just said, you didn't take any money. It's free. My mom goes, what? So she turns it and she saw it came out. So she basically whipped her ass and made us go up to the register and dump all the gum out on the counter. So we didn't get, but our mouths were full of gum too. We had huge amounts of gum.
That at least you had that.
So, but I did lots of stuff like that. I mean, you're a kid, you're going to take free gum. Nobody was telling us we couldn't do it. We were just doing it. So, but
I mean,
we did stuff.
How many times did you go home with a cat or dog that wasn't yours, but like, I found this in the ditch. Can we keep it? And your mom's like, no.
Now, I remember one time there was these huge ditches on each side of the road near our house. And I kept hearing, I was getting ready to go to school. We're waiting for the bus. And I kept hearing this little sound like that. And I heard it all the morning. When we went to school and we came home, I listened and I could hear it again. So I went over the street, which was a 4-lane interstate. So my mom would have beat me for that, but I did anyways. And I could see something moving, but I couldn't tell what it was. So I crawled down in. There was a bunch of thorns and garbage. It was tons of stuff. And when I dug it was a little pitty white poodle. A little miniature poodle, somebody's dog, and it was in the middle of nowhere, so someone had dumped their dog off is what it looked like. So I went down there and I broke a bunch of branches and stuff. And I finally got the dog out and I took it home. And Mom was like, oh, she didn't want another dog, but we gave it a bath and stuff. And we put, my mom put an ad out down, down the store and stuff like that. And finally someone found it. I came and took it and said they wanted it, but, it would have died because if it had rained really bad, it would have filled up that bottom of that dish and the dog would have died because it couldn't get out. It was its collar was like all stuck in the debris. But so I've saved lots of pets that way from the side of the road. But,
yeah, I kind of have the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that happen a lot when I was
a kid. I would load up my pocket.
You get lots of pets because people dump them. Like I went through not very long ago last summer when someone dumped that puppy. A little white shepherd mix dog with blue eyes that killed half my chickens.
Ate your chickens.
Yeah, not happy about it. And hopefully they don't do it again this time. I didn't see one this spring, or this anymore since that. My sister and I both found one dog, and that was it. But usually these kittens, I mean, they just drive out and chuck it out the door in the country. It's terrible. Yeah. People should not be allowed to have pets. And the sad fact is, people that do that will have a new puppy that next Christmas. Get their kid a puppy that just mysteriously disappears because they don't want to train it to go poop outside, stuff like that.
There's a wonderful discussion from Robert Schimmel, the comic, on, I think it's Buy This So I Can Afford the Girl tape, or he gets roped into buying a bunny the weekend of Easter. And so like, the bunny comes home on Good Friday, and you got the aquarium where your bunny lives, and then like Saturday it's jumping around a bit. The kids are liking the bunny, but then Sunday the bunny's not moving much, and so you take it into the vet. You burned your $75. You just like took money and you just lit it on fire.
Yeah.
When the vet tells you like, hey, we want to keep it overnight for observation, and you're kind of thinking, if we act right now, we can get 4 good lucky rabbit's feet out of this. What are you talking about, vet? And the vet's like, well, we need to observe it. We need to bring it overnight and make sure we can do something with this. And the rabbits, like every fucking time, they have a lifespan less than a week. Whatever it is, from these crappy pet stores, get crappy rabbits, and your kids or nephews or nieces are watching this stupid Brer Rabbit in their head just fall apart, and like by the end of the 4th day it's on its side and it's like pooping itself and kicking, having a seizure, and then
Like
it
the
dies
rabbit
on day
from the
5.
Mac
Yeah, it probably has ear
was
mites.
kept underneath the bed.
Most
Oh my God.
rabbits that start spinning around and can't keep their balance and things like that just have ear mites. You just got to clear their ears out, and they'll be fine.
I don't think ear mites are cancerous, and this is whatever happens. Like it happens every year. I know people
Well,
that
that's
buy
why they
rabbits.
use rats and mice and rabbits in labs, is because they are prone to having cancer, and they only live a few years. They don't usually have a long lifespan like a puppy dog. or something.
Why? I just if I can tell my friends anything, do not buy a rodent for your kid as a pet unless your
Or
child is.
goldfish.
Or goldfish is
Rats are
fine.
smart,
You know why?
but
Nobody
they're
cares.
the dog or the cat that people are used to.
Mhm.
Yeah, if your kid wants to have responsibility, buy them a plant or buy them a
Get them
dog.
a tarantula or a lizard.
It's something they can cuddle with, not a lizard, not a tarantula. Don't listen
Yeah,
to
if
these
you get them
guys.
something they can't cuddle with, and they don't become so attached to it, and then when it dies, they're like, "Oh well, I tried."
All right.
I was blessed to grow up with animals and pets.
Yeah, my mom
My
always had a
grandparents raised
chihuahua.
chickens. There were several dogs at the house. When we moved and got a little pets, we had goldfish. That was kind of cool. But up stray animals, I was taught early on. One, you could get rabies, and then watching Cujo, yeah, terrified me. But
Yeah,
I
that
didn't get that. I never saw that movie. I had to read it in my high school years.
yeah, it's
my
that's
my
a movie
parents
you
were
need
like,
to watch.
yeah,
You
it's
need
probably
to
gonna
read
fuck,
that
but
one.
hey, you'll learn. You know,
Uh,
are you sure you want to watch?
Yeah. This right here, I
But
agree with you.
like yeah,
Go ahead.
I would pick up random shit. So like, if I'm at the beach, back when you could find glass everywhere, that was cool.
Mhm.
Oh look, a rusty bolt. I'm gonna put it in my pocket because like, why the hell not? It's something to carry in my pocket. So I would that I thought was cool, like a
Mhm.
little freaking magpie or a raven, and cram my pockets full of crap. Right across from my elementary school, there was a sheet metal fabrication shop a couple blocks away, and the guys would go and get their beers and their sandwiches at 7-Eleven. Well, this guy, I guess, had knocked something out. They were like quarter size stainless. And I'm like, oh, these are like pirate doubloons. And I pick them up and put them in my pocket and forget about it. And then we go to Players Pizza Pub and play the arcade machines.
Mhm.
And what was it? It was like Altered Beast or something. And I was just pumping quarters in it. And next thing I know, my pocket's empty. And I really weren't in my pocket anymore. And I realized that you could put to make them work. So then I started looking for all sorts of shit to cram into the machines. And if it didn't work and I couldn't get it back, hitting the button, I kind of feel bad for the poor schmuck that had to clean out his machines and find all that crap that me and my friends would put in there. But that probably has nothing to do with the subject of pets. Yeah. Another freaking rabbit hole.
Well, we had another person that said that they liked the family movie, Addams Family movies.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah, I loved this movie. I thought it was very good, very well done.
Yeah,
Considering almost
Much better than the Manson family.
the ones that were, that was hired to play the characters weren't actually comedy actors. They were dramatic actors, and they did a very good job. So it's interesting if you get to go behind the scenes a lot and watch these documentaries that do how they made these movies, the movie makers or whatever, and show why they chose these people for that movie. stuff like that. I really enjoy those types of documentaries because you find out a lot about the process of whatever that casting director looked for in the character and why they had the feeling that this person would do a good job in this part. And sometimes these actors don't even apply for those jobs. They're told by someone else, hey, well, you should try out for this movie. I think you'd do a really good job.
That's what happened to Mark Hamill back in '76. He was living on fucking Robert Englund's couch in Hollywood, and he had done other small stuff. And Robert Englund's like, "Hey, what do you know about American Graffiti? That director's holding tryouts for something new he's doing. It looks like it's gonna be. I have no idea what it is." And so he sends Mark Hamill over there, and that turns into the job of his career. Which up until now he was completely safe in being in retirement. Now because of Twitter, Mark Hamill can't seem to fucking keep his mouth shut and be appreciative of the fact that a lot of us that don't share the same opinions he does, we have our own ideas about shit. So sorry, Mark. I used to love everything you did, man. I even watched Corvette Summer, and
I love that movie.
Yeah, I liked that movie when I was a kid. I tried watching it the other day, and it does not sing the same song. It's different.
Yeah, because I keep thinking of his bitching on X, and that would just annoy the hell out of me.
It annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, he was whiny as Luke, but he was still Luke Skywalker, and deal with that. And then the prequels came out, and I'm like,
I was told by a few people that I needed to rent that and watch it. The Corvette Summer, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
But I just could not get past the woman. I can't remember what her name was that starred in that movie with him. She was so skinny. She looked like she was like
a Kate Moss wannabe.
Something. She just looked like she was a drug addict or something. And I could not get that out of my head the whole time. So I could not get into the movie at all. So I only watched it that one time, and it was a rental, and I couldn't get into it because I couldn't get past the fact that she looked like she was starving to death. Like she was anorexic or something. Yeah, she was knock-kneed. She was knock-kneed and very just scrawny.
She's a bone.
Yeah, she looked pitiful.
It was better
into it.
In Ghostbusters, they hit her a lot with the voluminous clothing, and then by the time that Designing Women came out, she actually did kind of have a body on her. I mean, she looked like she was 110 pounds and 5 foot tall. So I mean, we're not working with a lot here.
That was like me. I was a stick compared to my sisters, and once I hit a certain age,
over for you, 30, it was 30.
When I hit 30, I was like, bam, my boobs started growing. I was like, hey, this is great. So I'm a late bloomer, but so I wish I had it when
everything on you was great, Janet. Probably
the only
help you with the
praise I will give Mark Hamill is his role as the Joker series.
Yeah.
But that was a voiceover, right?
That was his peak. Yeah.
I've done voiceovers. You can do a lot with the voiceovers you can't do on screen. So he probably could have made a good living doing voiceovers, and if he's really talented at it.
I tell you the movie that made me not like the 70s so much. And I don't even think this is a 70s movie. This is a film from 1971. It's called Two Lane Blacktop, directed by Monty Hellman and written by Rudy Wurlitzer. But it's got Jim Taylor, Warren Oates, and it has this little thing that I hated every moment she's on screen. And I know this sounds like I'm mean to her because she's not able to defend herself now. She's gone. But she's a little skinny thing of a woman, and she just when you see her in the film, she looks like a heroin addict. She looks like somebody that's just subsisting off of others.
Look familiar to me.
She didn't live long. She was up and moving around till 79, and then she passed. But this is
what was her name?
Lori Bird.
No, I never.
This is this typical look she has throughout the film right here. And it's an interesting movie. It's got Warren Oates in it, James Taylor. They thought this movie was going to be really, really big. And these two guys pretty much just go cross country, pick her up, and anywhere they can find somebody willing to race them for gas money or beer money,
Mm-hmm.
they're pulling their car apart, taking the windows and mechanical items out so the windows don't roll up or down, taking car panels off, and then we'll race because we've fucking taken all the extra weight we can, and now we can go. So it's not a bad film. It's just not a great film, and this is as flattering as it gets.
A simple concept.
Yeah,
that doesn't.
Yeah, it's an interesting film. If you want to see Americana back at the end of the 60s, at the end of the Woodstock era, going into the Vietnam War era, this is a good movie. It's just not a great movie. It's going. You're going to get a value for where we're at now, and this is before the big oil bullshit that happened in the 70s that Janet might remember. I don't know how good your memory is, Janet, but do you remember the embargo to where like you could only go to the gas station on certain days?
No.
Okay, because we weren't driving that time.
I was on Air Force bases.
Okay.
Totally different situation than people that didn't live on.
You would have noticed.
Yeah, no idea. But
plus, I had 4 sisters at the time when I was driving. That I had to. Well, 2 of them had moved out, so I had another 2 sisters that had to fight over who was going to use the car and stuff like that. So, and we had to pay for our own gas, so we had to babysit and do stuff like that to be able to use the vehicle.
So
we never had our own car. We had to use our mother's when we were. So.
This was the 26th of January, and we watched The Addams Family. The next movie we are watching, we're going to watch a film called Willow. And really, I don't want I don't want to watch Willow.
Oh.
I don't. I want to watch a blaxploitation film next week because it's the 2nd of February.
What is it?
There's one. I want to get the DVD first, but every DVD copy I'm seeing out there right now just does not look good. So I might go with something else. But I've got to find next week is TBD. It's going to be a blaxploitation film. It's more than likely going to be Undercover Brother, because
I haven't seen it. So
either Undercover Brother or I'm going to Get You Sucka.
I haven't seen
either
one.
Of those two. And the last movie,
I could try and find
I've got a DVD of I'm Going to Get You Sucka. I've got the DVD of it. The movie that I want to show, the movie that I want to discuss
that you can't say on.
Yeah, I want to watch Boss Nigger because that's a movie that was written and produced by the main star Fred Williamson, and all the reviews on it. All of the reviews on it talk about how good the movie is. Ignore the title.
It's actually a very well done movie,
and it's like Fred Williams probably is best.
It's got a controversial title.
And I don't want to stutter and stammer and be like, oh my God, the title. If you can't say that word.
The 3 top movies that I think that Fred Williams did was his breakout movie, Hammer. Because that was right after his football career. And his nickname was the Hammer.
Because he would fucking get into combat with somebody off the line and just put that forearm in their helmet.
Yeah.
You can see that on the reels. You can see that when you
of movies, but those were like the top 3 in my opinion. There might be more. I have to go back and go through the blaxploitation stuff that I used to watch.
I never heard of whatever it is you're saying. I never heard of anything like that before.
Did you ever watch? What's the vampire movie he's in?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, the big black guy in that movie.
Yeah.
He was a footballer.
I never heard it called a black exploitation. What was it?
Blaxploitation.
Yeah.
Okay, back in
never
the
heard that.
70s, MGM was about to lose their ass, and they were going downhill. They completely were at collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said, I've got this movie with Isaac Hayes, and we're going to go through with it because the dailies are coming out good. It might be the last film we make. And it came out,
Yeah.
it was Shaft. And
Yeah.
Shaft
That came out in
started
the 70s.
late 60s, early 70s. I want to say
Mhm.
72. I'm pulling from memory, and I'm not. Amazing
movie.
soundtrack, good acting. For what it is, like they made it for like less than 100,000, and it started in a phenomenon of taking black actors and doing traditional movies with nothing but black actors, and that was the majority of these films. You'd have some white actors here and there, but they called them blaxploitation films because they paid them significantly less. And it actually is,
Like Pam Grier and Cox, another
yeah.
example.
Pam Grier made her fucking dollars on that, and she's milked it into a reasonable amount of money today, and God bless her. The last movie that she did that I really enjoyed is the one from '97 with Fred Williamson, oddly enough, called Original Gangsters, which is not a great movie, but if you want to see like a pre John Wick,
Good movie.
it's watchable. It's very watchable.
John Wick.
Well, like the older
I'll have to
guy
see it.
that,
I'll have to watch it because I haven't seen any of those. Any of the three you were speaking about. I haven't seen them.
well, I love I'm Gonna Get
Jackie
You Sucking.
Brown.
I wish Fred was in that movie because it's just a good fucking comedy that's made by Damon Wayans and guys from In Living Color.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, it's really odd
I like
because back
Damon
then,
Wayans.
I mean, in the movie Dirty Harry, we're going to have to alter the title here because we're going into so many other different topics, but John Vernon can't say the word nigger in Dirty Harry. He looks at the fucking note from the terrorist that's in San Francisco, and he can't read it. But instead, they make a point to say why his character can't do that, and then Dirty Harry's just like, blah, there it is. It doesn't matter. He fucking just spits out whatever it is that people are having in their mind, and that's it. And then for some odd reason, it was still allowable for people to say that up until recently, like 10, 15 years ago. Like if you were of the skin color, you couldn't say it anymore. And that's kind of funny, but fucked up at the same time. No, we're going to continue to say it. If you get offended, that's completely on you. You want to go to violence for that, you're completely out of your gourd. I'm not sorry. I think you're stupid. I think you perpetuate the racism by being offended at a racial epithet. I don't have a necessity to like go bomb entire neighborhoods because I get called a guinea or a wop or a dirty Italian, a grease ball. I don't fucking go all out. I'm a shitlord. I expect to be called names and made fun of. That's just how you are when you're an adult, when you're a man. And
Yeah.
it makes me upset. And the majority of people that get upset aren't even the people that might apply to, which that really doesn't apply to them because
Well, they say it all the time in movies. So if you're doing a movie
it's about
or a TV series or whatever, a lot of people say it. Yeah, I mean for scripts and stuff, they say the word cunt. They fuck. They say lots of dirty words, but it doesn't mean anything. It's a word.
If I was hanging out with my friends, and they are people of color, being the dumbass shitlords that we are, we get separated. They start yelling out, "Hey, honky!" And then I would go, "What, nigga?" And everybody would freak out around us, but then they would be looking around, and then, bam, we'd instantly find each other. So, it was offensive to some people with delicate tastes, but, I'm of the opinion that, in certain company, you have a way of speaking and decorum and whatnot.
Well, I understand that.
But you can't do that with everybody.
Because I have girlfriends.
Because the guy that digs holes for a living or, shovels shit, he's not going to care if you're using proper English. He's probably going to respect you more and pay more attention to you than the guy that's saying flowery words and trying to step on it.
Let
There's a
me
time and place for it all.
Yeah, and plus it's how you say it. Like if I see one of my friends and I say, "Yo, bitch, get over here," or something like that, no one's gonna think that. But if I say, "Yo, you bitch," two different ways of saying
completely
it.
different.
And it's how you use the word, whether it's offensive or not. So
Or like
maybe I
grandma
understand it because I had so many guy friends, and we all called each other names. So it's like it don't mean shit. And most of it was because we teased around and call each other shit. So,
Okay,
I don't know.
we're all Generation X, and we grew up watching cartoons, and one of my favorite cartoons was Johnny Quest.
And bad movies.
And bad movies. Well, I didn't really get into those until after I could afford bad movies because mom wouldn't let me waste my time on bad movies. But I love bad movies. Johnny Quest had a character on there that was Johnny's best friend who was Haji.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever like you were, if you got sent to the sandbox, or if you came back from said sandbox, or if you had to get somewhere in like the eastern portion of the Orient, and I'm talking about India,
yeah,
probably, if you were on contract, you were calling the natives there. There's a couple Hajis, no big deal. And majority of us, we just use that word just kind of like an Oxford comma because we're trying to get to somebody real fast, like an idea of where we're at and what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. Like you have two sacred cows, can't say Haji, and you can't drop the N-bomb, heaven forbid, and it makes me sad that there's so many pussies out there that have so much censorious control over us. So we might not be on YouTube when we do the blaxploitation film with Fred Williamson that I want to, because
we can just do it on X and
Rumble. Yeah. I think that'd be the best choice.
And what we'll do is you make a video, we'll put it on your channel and mine, a short that says, "Don't miss this outlandish movie review, blah blah blah," because it's going to be talking about stuff that it's censored on YouTube and have blacked out.
If we could do it like a 70s drive-in promo, blaxploitation style, would be epic.
Yeah, something, something like that. Come up with something to make a video for it.
But I really like. I know Janet's not seen "I'm Going to Get You, Sucker," and I think that's a fantastic movie. It's by the same people that did In Living Color.
I loved In Living Color, and I loved that other show that had the mom that had the son that was an overgrown son, Stuart.
Yes. And there were a lot of things that were made back in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Like until Barack Obama got power and became a divisive pile of shit that now we can't have black friends if you're white, and you can't have white friends if you're black, because heaven forbid you might say something like what you just heard 10 minutes ago. You have too many people out there that they just get their knickers out of whack. And they don't understand that, like, hey, we were friends before this pile of shit got off us and kind of made everybody divisive as fuck.
Well, that's like Trump. I've seen tons and tons of pictures of him with Don King and all kinds of
but he's famous
black people. And they said that, he was, donating money and, doing all these things. And all of a sudden now he's racist. You can't even be friends with him. So I don't know. To me, it's sad. It really is sad. But you know what? I have lots of black friends, and but guess what? They're conservative, so they don't think that way. They don't have that warped point of view of what a conservative is because they are conservative.
It's funny because my friends that are not lily white like me and burn after 4 hours in the direct sunlight of San Antonio, they don't identify as what race or nationality they are. They don't even identify as Americans, although they tell you, yeah, I was born in America. They first thing they tell you is like, man, I'm a fucking business owner, so I'm a conservative. Like that's 90% of them. And they operate via their wallet. They They try to think everything through, and they try to do things that are going to make them $1 tomorrow so they can feed their kids next week. And that's what they want. And
Yep.
that's the majority of people I bump into all the time, because for 12 hours a day, I'm at work. So it's just kind of crazy that all these people get their like, you have no bearing in this matter, but why are you getting upset for these people who they just want to exist like you, me, and everybody else? They want to have good food. They want to have their family around. They want to be able to raise their kids right. Why are you out of whack because somebody might say something that offends you and not them? There's something wrong here. Why did we make you the arbiter of good taste and good sense? Nobody's getting pissed off at the white liberal women that are ruining social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pissed off.
Causing most of the
I'm one of
problems.
them.
But
Look at the pussy hat wearing women that are ruining my life because they're trying to shove their dumb agenda down my throat for DEI hires and bullshit. I don't believe in any of that crap. So
I'm hoping
We went from
and I get lumped in with all them
48
women.
years ago, Rex Kramer speakers
I
from the country
Mhm.
to this weird cancel culture, 10, 15 years,
Mhm.
which is absolute BS, because there was a point in time everybody could agree, yeah, this was comedy or lighthearted banter, and nobody took it serious. And if there's something usually wrong with you, you got slighted in some way or experienced something negative. So
Like-
it's not it's all your guys' fault. It's your personal beef, and you need to like sort that shit out.
there's a quote in the movie The French Connection that I believe Popeye Doyle says. And when the audience, they brought a black audience in because they wanted to know if it was going to offend them. But when they watched the scene complete and the context that it was written in and filmed in, the blacks cheered. And yeah, fucking Roy Schneider was like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'll be good. Like, well, what if it's a nigger? Listen, I'll be good. It's I trust nobody. It doesn't matter who they are, and I believe that's the framing that they were really worried about, because they thought, like, it's kind of sensitive. We're kind of still in a real sensitive racial time. That was a movie that was made in '70. It was released in '71. We need to watch it, and that was a very pivotal scene in that movie's buildup. And the test audience, they were going for a minority test audience because they want to see how it would be perceived by those around. And it was kind of interesting whenever you go through the deep dive of how that proceeded to be filmed, to be scripted, and then to be presented. And that movie, for almost 50 plus years, it was fine and untouched. And then just 2 years ago, I believe it's Paramount decided to censor that out because they don't want to offend people.
Yeah,
Instead of
like,
just saying, like, just having a disclaimer, they put,
his partner, Buddy Russo,
yeah,
he calls him a dumb guinea.
Yeah,
And then the guy's like, well, how was I supposed to use a knife? And he's like, never trust. And then he further elaborates, never trust. Isn't him like specifically saying, yeah, black people don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
They're going to bullshit you.
Anybody. The fucking great movie. I haven't seen it for about 10 plus years.
In history. Outside of like Bullet or the motorcycle scene from The Great Escape. Like, the reason why it's
And
a
I
classic.
can't believe we've not watched that yet. That's the movie I want to bring Bear in on, because I think The French Connection is fucking amazing. That's a movie that's like worthy of bringing him in. No offense to him, but like, he doesn't want to do slapstick movies. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna bring him in on that, But if we get a chance for him to be part of that, like a movie that has stood the test of time and people have watched it and they've enjoyed it over and over again, and they've shown their kids that, like, of course I want to bring Bear in on that. We like the movie. Watch Addams Family. Take your kids and spend an afternoon with them. There's two of them that are from 91 and 1993. Addams Family Values. You could watch them back to back and really just have a great time. Janet rated hers a 9 out of 10. Me and Six Nations rated ours high 70s. We recommend it. Go see them if you haven't. Be prepared for lots of great, intelligent comedy because it's written very well. And the movie probably should be seen just for the fact that you have a grouping of cast. The cast that's there, they're not professional comedians. They aren't. They're fucking dramatic actors, and you're going to enjoy the shit out of it. They do really well with dramatic acting. Janet, you have anything else to add?
Well, all I can say is that just get the movie and have some snacks, a vegetable tray, whatever, some drinks. Get a couple of grown-ups, parents together, and your 10-year-olds, a little older maybe, and just sit down and enjoy this movie. It's very, very good. It's very well done. You'll laugh a lot. It's got a little bit of romantic innuendos in there, but it's got a great story arc. It has a happy ending. It's got something for everyone. I think young and old could enjoy this movie. And I'm so glad I watched it again because I forgot how much I enjoyed this movie, and I laughed a lot. I cried a little bit. I love the feeling I had of family, even though this was a goofy, weird family, they were very close. They loved each other. You could see and feel the love they felt, like when they went and saw the kids at the play and they all stood up and were applauding. They were so happy to see their kids do such a good job in the show, and no one else was, but they were. I just loved it. I thought it was very, very well done family movie. Yeah, it was gallons of blood. Everyone was covered with blood, but it was funny. And to me, it's a movie to see with your loved ones, with your family, people that you enjoy doing things with. And I just really enjoyed it. I think it's a movie that I wish we made more of these. That's how I felt about it.
With all the tension that we've had in the last couple of months and few years, it's refreshing.
Yeah, definitely.
And most of these actors are from stage. They've done other movies. They're dramatic or thriller actors and actresses. But like how Leslie Nielsen, he did these roles before he got known for his comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Police Squad and The Naked Guns. And then you have the opposite effect with Robin Williams, where like in Mork and Mindy, and his stand-up was hilarious. But then he does like Awakenings and Patch Adams, and it's more serious roles. And
yeah,
you can see the caliber of talent in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all slapsticky. There are sight gags and humor. It's very pantomime and visual too. So you'll enjoy it on multiple levels.
Robin Williams
kind of magical too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Robin Williams is a sore subject for me because I love his comedy so much, and then whenever he sobered up and he became this dramatic actor, and he was still funny, but he wasn't the Robin that I had seen growing into a young teenager, and I liked his comedy. His comedy was manic. It was completely off the chain. It was like somebody just grabbed a Husqvarna, pulled the ripcord, and they fucking just completely pushed the choke all the way in, and they rev that thing at the microphone, and all you hear is 90 decibels of like, oh my God, this is the funniest shit you'll ever hear in your life. And you have to watch it rewatch it like 4 times to catch all the jokes that he put in there, because he was high on cocaine and he was firing shit off at 120 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he stopped, he became sober. And he became somebody else. And I wasn't ready to say goodbye to that. I wanted to get into my adulthood listening to more Robin Williams high on coke. And I know that sounds selfish, but God damn it, I really love what that did for Robin, because what that did for Robin is the same shit that drugs did for Jim Morrison, and I wanted that. I would love to have 30 years of a drug-addled Jim Morrison just spinning music in a booth and making more amazing music with his group. I know that sounds selfish as hell, but I mean, that's why I listen to Hawkwind and I listen to Satriani and I enjoy Lemmy and I listen to all the fucking guys that do stringed instruments that have experimented with LSD and they fucking push the boundaries and they go into progressive metal. That's what I want. I wanted things to get pushed further out than where they were. Lenny Bruce is great back in the 60s, but he's gone. And we no longer have Robin Williams. So I'm looking for that next comedian that does shit kind of like what Robin Williams does, but are willing to push it a little bit harder, a little bit faster. And maybe if that, I know that sounds really gross and disgusting. Like, you want drug-addled comedians? Yeah, because comedians don't get jobs at fucking Walmart. They're fucking comedians, okay? They're a special breed of people.
Bob,
And I value that.
Cat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing
Goldthwait was bipolar and not on meds and on coke and God knows what else. And his comedy routines were freaking manic and awesome. And then
Not the same.
and he's a father. He's still weird because now he's calm and he's not dripping with sweat and he's not stuttering and just screaming into the mic. And it's like, wow, it's different. It's still good, but it's got that different vibe, different flavor, and it's here for him in the long run. And God bless him.
Yeah.
Getting on meds and getting that, but in time where things were raw and powerful, like we'll never see that again. And can reminisce, and if we're thankful enough to have copies of it on VHS or DVD, or find it on the internet in some dark corner, like we'll be able to pull up this info and rewatch these movies, these television specials, comedy tours, whatever, and get to maybe share that with other people. Like that's an awesome gift right there.
Well, one of the things I wanted to add, I was trying to really figure out how to say it, was the movie is about a family that's from a bunch of serial killers and witches and creepy Frankensteinish type of ancestors. Basically, they talk about it because they have a graveyard right there in their backyard. They have a swamp, they have a tomb, and all these different things. Yet the film, it's the whole family is one of the most accepting families and welcoming to others than anyone else around them. Everyone is so biased against them and treats them like freaks, basically. Like when she goes to apply for a job and she's talking about, and the lady's like, okay, liberal arts, because she says that she's, she writes hexes and spells and stuff, I just thought it was really, really good family movie. I mean, they're very accepting and they're loving and they love their kids. And then at the very end, when she's making that sweater and it's a baby with like 3 legs or whatever type thing, the thing that she knitted. And I just thought it was wonderful. They're very romantic. They love each other. They dance. They enjoy each other's company. They're very, attentive to each other and their children. And I just love that. I love that.
It's a wholesome movie.
Wholesome. Even though it's about, a creepy family that's into creepy stuff like monsters and vampires, and the grandmother's running around with a bat outside trying to catch a kitty or a dog to cook, but it's comical in the way they do it. But their family loves each other and they're there for each other. They're very supportive of their children and of each other as a couple. And I just love it. I just wish we had more movies like that today, where you can be yourself and you're loved no matter what. I just the acceptance of the family and stuff. I just loved it. I just wanted to add that before you closed.
Sure. Swapping movies for next week. We're going to Shaft, 1971.
Okay.
We're gonna do the original, written by Ernest Tidyman and directed by Gordon Parks, and we're gonna get into that. Going to get into the history of it. What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
I fucking love it.
I haven't seen it, so I'm excited about
Are
it.
you serious?
Yeah, I haven't seen Shaft.
It's got Richard Roundtree in it. How could you not have seen that? I mean, that. Oh, I'm gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun. This is one of the best fucking movies that.
You said that about
my bad.
FDR.
It wasn't Isaac Hayes. It was Richard Roundtree.
You said that about FDR, American Badass.
But I mean, I said that because the fact that, like, around my crew, around the people that I've hung out with, like, that movie, like, we have ties directly to the writer and the character that did the Val Kilmer impersonation, because he lives in Austin, and he's just a crazy, younger, more zany individual than what you expect.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he was in FDR American Badass. He was the main antagonist in Range 15. He was been doing silly, stupid comedies. He was in Helen Keller, Werewolf Killer, and it's just
I never see that either. Helen Keller's a werewolf killer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're going down your bad list stuff. But Chronos says, I'm looking at the chat. He says he's never seen Shaft.
It's a great movie.
So is it me going to be running around doing this kind of shit to people or something? Is that what kind of Shaft they're talking about?
I just can't believe you've never seen it before. That's
I haven't. I swear I haven't seen it. I don't know who's in it or anything. So
when you see the actors in there, you'll be like, oh, he's in this. Oh, he's in this. Oh,
I haven't seen Snakes on a Plane either.
That's not a good movie.
Okay, well, I haven't seen it.
We don't discuss that.
Chronos just said something about Snakes on a Plane.
That's a terrible film. That movie doesn't exist.
I bet it's not as bad as, what was it, Willy's Wonder House or whatever, Roadhouse or something.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, Wonderland. That was terrible.
That's the movie. That's the movie that gave Janet PTSD.
I mean, I didn't even watch 15 minutes. And
how long did it take for you to go back in a movie theater again after you saw that?
I didn't see it at the movie theater. It was on TV,
really?
and I just turned it on.
Oh.
Started watching it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I was hoping. I was really hoping you saw that movie at a movie theater, because that would be like one of those experiences that I could like watch Janet just fall apart and be like, "Oh no."
Now there was a movie with Mel Gibson. I'm trying to remember the name of it, and it was like a Beethoven type movie or something. And I was watching it, and I really liked it. But the three people I was with at the time, they got up and left. They said it was the worst movie ever, and I cannot remember the name of it. But it was a Mel Gibson movie, and it was like Amadeus or I don't know. It was something like that. I don't remember the name of it right this minute, but they left. And I said I thought it was pretty good. So I like stuff that other people usually don't.
On the Bounty.
No,
that was the 80s remake.
It wasn't that one.
Yeah.
When I find out what it is, I'll but I'll have to look it up because it was a long time ago. But they were like, "This movie sucks." You remember what it was?
No.
But they said this movie stinks, so they got up and left. It left me there, so I watched it, but it was good.
Oh my God.
So, I like some bad movies. So I'm just teasing you about it. But yeah, that movie was really bad. It was horrid. It was a horrible movie. I'm glad I did not put money in a coffer to some business to go in and watch that movie, because it was just on TV already on one of those. I was at a motel basically, and it was on the pay channel. So whatever. So I thought, I haven't seen this. I'll lay down and watch this. And it sucked. Oh, okay. All right. No, I have not seen it. So it's a gangster movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
crime drama.
He's a detective.
I know, but the way the hats and
So-
stuff like gangsters.
Yeah, this.
Isaac Hayes did the soundtrack,
Yep, Isaac
Shaft.
Hayes was
the
a,
theme song.
So it's got
Who's the
romance
black
and stuff
private
in
dick?
it.
That's sex machine to all the chicks. And then the color girls go, Shaft.
Yep.
You're damn
Oh,
right.
I think I've heard that song.
God, I would hope
You know
so.
what? All
Yeah,
right.
I think I'd have to hear it. But
I'm gonna post it in Discord. I'm not gonna butcher the song on stream anymore.
yeah, don't ruin it for me.
This is a fine movie, and I don't understand why people don't give it props. This movie saved MGM.
Did it make money? Did it make a lot of
Fuck
money?
yeah.
Okay,
Fuck
well
yeah.
then why are you saying that people didn't give it what it deserved? If it made lots of money, then a lot of people hadn't seen it.
Okay, Karen's
Yeah,
right
talking to her.
journalism now. Go ahead.
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Huggy Bear.
Yeah, Huggy Bear's in this movie. I forgot about that. This is just a crazy movie.
I like the one jacket he was wearing, the red one, leather or whatever it looked like. It was a nice looking jacket.
Yeah, brown leather
Yeah.
jacket. I don't know if I could pull that off.
Oh, they had big sideburns
30
too.
years ago, yeah.
Plaid jacket. Now I've got one of this. Remember I wore it when I had the blonde wig and the plaid jacket and just the tie for that car salesman movie with Kurt Russell. What was the name of that one?
Used cars.
Used Cars. Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun one. So I got a men's plaid jacket.
Brutal.
Yeah, that was good.
This is okay. If we get a hold of Black Dynamite, like Janet's gotta, like Janet will have to have. I can't guarantee Black Dynamite because I don't live with Janet and I have to control her eating before the movie. We have to make sure Janet has eaten for like 8 hours because
Why? Because I want to throw up.
You'll be laughing so hard you'll throw up because that movie is like.
Well, that's what popcorn's for. It absorbs moisture.
Okay, but Shaft is not a comedy. Shaft is a great crime thriller. I'm going to get you stuck with Black Dynamite.
I guess that was back when cops could just go in and shoot people without saying anything or something.
This was a different time.
Well, they still do it now. It's just
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
now
in
we
the
have
70s then.
surveillance.
like now they call it red flag laws. Before you just like blew away and then left them on the side.
Yeah.
At least in New York. I don't know where it would be.
You
okay
guys,
to do that
I'd like
now,
to see you
but-
two sit down and write a screenplay. I would love to see what
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I would like to see
if we do really well.
No.
If it comes out really well, like we're gonna be like, well, fuck, we're already in our 40s. Okay.
It'll be a fraction of everything without the poop jar.
Or Helen Keller.
Yeah, thank
I
God.
don't think-
No pickle poop jars. That'd be good.
I like gross humor, but I don't do scat very well.
So
No,
did
thank
the
you.
scene in Ace Ventura where he's in the bathroom and he's throwing up in the bathroom and using the plunger on his face and stuff? Now, is that the same kind of humor you're talking about? The gross humor?
You could say it's scat humor.
Okay, and what about the scene in Dumb and Dumber when they gave him that one guy all that laxatives and he was pooping real bad? Is that the kind of humor you guys are talking about?
Scat humor. Like you can make poopy jokes and bathroom humor, but FDR American Badass, where they went for whatever the hell that was in the jar.
I don't know.
I don't want to find out.
I don't know. I almost threw up. I
is-
really did. I almost threw up in that scene. It was disgusting.
6 on a rating of 10 was like at least a 13.
Yeah, it was X-rated. That was for poop fetish people or something. It was.
I don't even think trauma does stuff And they're
It
known for bad
was
stuff.
disgusting. It's
Just fallen. We've just fallen. How the mighty have
It was
fallen.
very gross. I can't believe it was legal, honestly. And it looked real. I swear to God, it looked like he sat on the jar and his ass got stuck to it. So when he tried to pull his ass off, it sucked out the poop. It was so disgusting.
Like Black Sheba, coffee. Jackie Brown.
It was just really disgusting. That was disgusting. I don't ever want to see something like that again if I can absolutely help it. Because I did get nauseated. And I have a pretty good stomach. I mean, I step in chicken shit and I've gotten it on my hands. I've cleaned nesting boxes, and stuff like that. I've killed snakes. I'm just saying I can handle, a lot of things, but it was just repulsive. Very disgusting. So I would appreciate not seeing that again. It wasn't whiskey in a jar, because if it was a whiskey in a jar, I could have handled it. This was shit in a jar. Actual shit, turds and stuff. And it looked like he was really pooping. Did it look like real poop to you guys?
It looked like real poop.
Okay.
That looked like it was actually like they.
I'm trying to forget that scene. And you guys aren't helping.
I hate to say this, but I guarantee if you got on some of these kink sites where they do all this kinky stuff, that if you typed in someone in a jar, it was on there. You know what I'm saying? I swear it looked real. You guys like the movie. You guys are the ones that wanted me to watch it.
Kill it.
There was a poop in a jar. So
get the puppies.
Get the puppies. All right. You guys have a good night. Thank you for showing up. We'll be back next week with Shaft. God bless you. Get some peroxide in your brain.
Yeah. Go brush your teeth and take a